Good day. I am Serene, and I am live streaming for the very first time. Actually, that was a lie. I'm sorry for lying to you. I just live streamed, and there was no audio, so I'm starting again. That was we started off in a bad foot here. Let's try again. I'm Serene. I'm live streaming for the very second time in my life, and today I want to talk about dating. I'm going to send this off to people. I'm going to tell people that I'm live streaming right now. Okay, so I want to talk about dating because I love matchmaking people. Like whenever I'm at a party, I'll like talk to someone, and if they seem like they have any ounce of dateability, or even if they don't, like I'm just a sucker. I just want everyone to find true happiness. I just say like, "Hey, are you single?" And it's less awkward than you think it would be. And they say yes or no, and then I just say, "Hey, what are you looking for? Like, can I match make you?" Let's go on Twitter here. I'm live streaming. Talk to me about dating. All right, let's do it. Let's go. My 200 Twitter followers are gonna all rush in right now. Okay, you can hear now. Thank you, Mr. Record. And by the way, Mr. Record has some excellent stock tips. I just ask him what stocks to buy, and then without thinking, I can't even read that good, man. I just invest in whatever he invests in. He could tell me that Tesla was the best buy in the world when it's at its peak, and I would buy it. That's how much I trust him. Uh he gives me financial advice all the time. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't. I'm kidding. He can get in a lot of trouble if he gives people financial advice. Anyway, thanks. It's yes, I made billions on his tips. I'm a billionaire. I'm a literal billionaire. Um, she bought out 3 senators. 3. Yeah, I mean, you know, 36, but that's fine. Like, yeah. I'm actually pro fracking. I'm the one behind that movement. I like when they drill in. I just like it when people's water is dirty. I like it when you can light water on fire. Water has is boring. We shouldn't. You can okay, cool. You can like boil your kettle with some water, but like it's way cooler if you can take a hose and spray it on someone's house and get an insurance claim. Like I like that better. I don't even really know what fracking is. I'm very pro fracking, and I use my billions to just frack everywhere, just frack them up. Anyway, so I want to talk about dating today because I I love to matchmake people, and I just encounter so many like I'm going to talk about men mostly, I think, because men are 95% of my audience. Let's be real. Women have many problems, and I'll talk about women if you ask me about women. But um, I've men and women have very specific, different problems in dating. But I've just encountered so many men, and it seems like I can kind of distill down a lot of their issues with dating. So the first one I want to cover is just like mindset, dude, especially on Twitter. I mean, you see all these guys who are like, women are essentially they're scared of women. And they not only are they scared of women, but they and okay, what do I mean by scared of women? All right. They say things like there's this kind of narrative that if you marry a woman, she's gonna divorce you and she's gonna take your house and your kids. And that's like it's a real possibility. It's not I'm not saying these things are fake. I'm not saying believe all women. I'm not saying it never happens. But there's this narrative that like and it's just a perpetuated narrative online that a lot of men they go into Twitter or Reddit or whatever it is, and they surround themselves with this one narrative that women are inherently scary, and it's a little bit of it's a lot of victimhood, and I honestly I hate victimhood. Like I really get very triggered by it. And not saying I don't hate these insult types. I think they're honestly like I don't think they realize what they're doing, and I think I do have a lot of pity for them as well. Um, but I want to talk about the solution, as far as I can tell, to this one problem of incels essentially being trapped in their own mind. So like The first one, the first thing that you can talk about with women being scary is that they are scary. Like we can take your house, we can take everything from you, and it's terrifying. And if you get married, you're signing yourself up for a commitment. But what I want to say to that is, you if you really pay attention to a woman, and let's say you're dating her for a year or more, and you need to pay attention to her, and you need to figure out how to listen to what she's telling you through her actions, because people don't hide themselves very well at all. If you're good at picking up what signals people are showing you, you won't get fooled. Like, I've heard these stories of everything's going fine in the relationship, and then the woman suddenly takes off. What's Mr. Accord saying? Mindset is tough. Are you trying to find? Okay, I'm not quite understanding this, Joe. If mindset is tough, Mr. Accord, if you try to find love, then you get told that you just have to let it happen. If you say that instead, you get told that you can't expect to find love without trying. I don't know quite what you mean about that, and maybe what I'm saying, but you can expect to find love without trying. I mean, what do you mean by try? It depends what you mean by trying, right? If you're in your room playing video games all day, where is this woman going to come from? She's not going to show up at your house. Then instead, I will let it happen. Yeah, it depends who you are as to whether or not you can let love happen. Some people can let love happen, because if you're a guy who's already naturally gregarious, if you're in a lot of social groups, if you're meeting a lot of people, like, you can probably just let love happen. If your social skills are already pretty good, if you're not consumed by this fear of women, or even if you are a bit, like, you can let love happen. But if you're playing video games in your room all day, the ideal woman isn't going to knock on your door. And I mean, everyone knows this, right? If you're stuck in your own little social group, and you aren't meeting a lot of people outside of that, the ideal woman isn't going to show up to your weekly D&D nights. I mean, she might, but you gotta, like, it helps. Dating is a numbers game. Dating is such a numbers game. Like, if you're looking for a specific person, even if you don't, and you shouldn't have, like, a lot of people have way too high standards, I think, in the wrong areas. You can have high standards in terms of honesty, for instance. I had high standards in terms of honesty. But in terms of, like, I don't know, she has to have the exact same interest as me in the same sports or whatever. Like, some things don't matter as much as other things. And even if you do need another soccer fanatic and that's your life, like, that's okay. But you're just narrowing down. You might only find 1 in 100 women who are into that, and you only need one wife, which is the good thing. But if you're narrowing down to one specific woman, you have to realize that it's an equation. So, right, you're a smart guy, you want a woman who's top 50% IQ, top 25% IQ, even higher. You're narrowing down 1 in 4, and then you want a soccer fanatic, and she's 1 in 100, and so that's 1 in 400. Will this chat be recorded? Yeah, probably. Thanks for the Umslin. Talk about dating as a 30-year-old male who still lives with mom at home. All right, dude. All right, we can do that, man. I think if living with mom is not the worst thing ever, man. It's really not the worst thing ever. Like, you are saving hella money. It's kind of based, honestly. If you can figure out how to, like, if you can work, you're just saving all your money. And women prefer men with money to men with no money. This might be a huge revelation to people. I'm not sure if you guys knew that. But it's pretty great. Like, and a lot of guys say that women are shallow for wanting money, and that's fucking nonsense, really. Like only if they invest the savings. Exactly. Only if they invest the savings. Yeah, don't spend your money on Rolexes. That's the dumbest dog shit thing you could do. And look, if you buy a Rolex and a Ferrari, if you buy a Rolex and a Ferrari, you are going to attract the worst women. Like, I mean, you're gonna attract the woman who only wants you for. You're gonna attract the craziest fucking women possible. Like, not the craziest women possible. Oh, dude, go crazy in the chat. Please go crazy in the chat. I can. This is my first chat ever. I don't care. I'll delete it. Go insane, man. Also, you're anonymous. I don't know who you are. Nobody knows who you are. Go crazy, please. I probably come off as dirty poor because I really spend on myself. I buy one latte and I feel like I bought a Ferrari. Yeah, Jack, your name comes up. I'll delete the stream later. I don't care. I'm just having a good time. Yeah, dude. Mr. Accord, you gotta buy Starbucks. That's what gets the ladies. They love a good $7 coffee. I bet you buy the cheapest Starbucks, dude. I bet you buy a small, like, black coffee. The ones from the drip that they have in the States. You stopped going to Bucks. You got kicked out. No, but like, I used to buy the short drip coffee and refill it all day. I knew it. You stock guys are all the same. And by the way, swapping home equity for stock equity, I don't know about that, man. I think stock equity is great. I think home equity, it depends where you are. Dude, you got kicked out. You didn't get kicked out, but they didn't like you, so you stopped when it landed. Just go to a different Starbucks. Who gives a shit? Like, and also there's gonna be new employees all the time. You can just like go to different Starbucks. I mean, yeah, it's great. Home equity is pretty base, man. I mean, stocks are like not a real thing. You know, they kind of live in our imagination. I guess home ownership also lives in our imagination, but having land, having some dirt that is yours is pretty great. I am an advocate financially, first of all, and this is financial advice, by the way. I am giving you financial advice. I'm an expert in something. I'm not really sure what. Women live in our imagination. I haunt your nightmares. In terms of stocks, man, like stocks, I think do whatever you love doing and what you're super into, but probably diversify if you can, equal amount of stocks and real estate, and then just YOLO in on crypto. That's the best financial advice I can give you. 95% crypto should be your should be what you invest in, and they shouldn't be Bitcoin, like meme coins, like just a coin named after like butthole coin is probably gonna go to the moon because that's pretty viral. I want to date a big old mommy to join me and my biological mommy. You might be able to do that if she can move all of her kids into your house and you can support her. That you can probably find someone willing to do that. That's probably pretty viable, honestly. And she has 3 kids from 3 different men, and she doesn't know who the fathers are of any of the kids, but she will move in with you and your mom, and you that is achievable. There are women out there who will do that. And look, the thing about dating, man, is that Jerry Springer, your house will be Jerry Springer. The thing about, like, I love those pickup artist books. I'm super into. I fucking love pickup artists. Are fun, man. They're fun people. But I read The Game a few years ago, and I felt this like overwhelming sadness. Like, I don't think that's generally what people feel when they read that book, man. But like, I felt sad for these men. Like, and the thing is, if you go out, I don't know if The Game is a pickup artist book, and what they did was they had these rehearsed lines that they would give these women. They would say like, oh, I'm going to give you like a friendship test with you and your friend, and I'm going to like tell you how good your friendship is. And they would just have these and they would tell the same lines over and over again. And at some point, the narrator, he made up the friendship test, and he goes to this bar, and these girls are like, I've already heard it, because all these other guys had copied him because they just had the same exact rehearsed lines. Like, they couldn't actually talk to women by themselves and just have a conversation. They had to like autistically go through all these steps to do it. And the thing is, if you use pickup artist techniques, you are getting women. You are going to find women and attract women into your life who fall for pickup artist techniques. These are not the Einsteins of the, I don't know, Marie Curies of the world, right? These are like, you're really scraping the barrel. And I mean, you can get laid, but that's not, I don't know. I'm not here to advocate for going out and getting laid. I don't think that's an honorable thing to do in your life. Like, I think you should be trying to, I think you should be trying to find a wife. That's it. Like, finding a wife is pretty based. You can have a support network and a family and all those wonderful things. You can have stability, income stability. It's fantastic. One time at a bar, a girl asked my friend, a pickup artist, "What are you doing here at a bar?" And he replied, "I'm asking myself the same question." Did that work? A buddy of mine told me, "You just have to learn to speak to women." I thought they spoke English just like I do. Yeah, they speak English. But you have to read between the lines. No, I mean, no, I think women speak English and they speak vibes. Like, I think there's a lot of subtleties, I think, in women's language. And I don't think even women are fully aware of this. So I think it's hard to pick up. And for us to explain most of the time, because I think most of the time we aren't very, the vibe stuff is what throws me off. Okay, we can talk about that. I will say the advice I always got from parents, etc. What was the advice you got from parents, Lambda? All right. I'm very logocentric. Yeah. Jack, it depends how much you work on yourself, I think. I noticed my single male friends have developed more agreeable personalities, presumably to be seen. Oh man, disarming to females. That's the worst, man. You can't be disarming. You got to be arming. I mean, arming to females. You need guns, man. You just need to arm yourself to females. Yeah. Okay. So like, it's hard to like exactly. Why do I have to work on myself for something that's their issue? Everyone should work on themselves all the time. If you're not working on yourself, you're slowly decaying. Yeah, just be nice. Just be nice is a fucking retarded idea. Focus on yourself is good though. Like, focus on yourself is, you should focus on yourself. Like, why is the burden on me or presented as a shortcoming with me? The burden's on you if you want to find a wife. You are responsible for your own destiny. You are the captain of your own ship. If women are, yeah, whatever, man. You don't have to agree. Yeah. But in my opinion, you are the captain of your own ship. You're the master of your destiny. And if women aren't selecting you, there's a reason why they're not selecting you en masse. So like, that sucks. Like, and here's something. Like, a friend of mine, I'm very vibes based, and I've spent a lot of time kind of in studying vibes, I guess you could say. So a friend of mine is a very smart guy. But he has this kind of there was something off about him that I could feel, and he was not quite right. Like, and I'm not interested in anyone else, but like, I can feel sexual chemistry. Like when someone is honestly, the word is fuckable. Like, I'm not trying to fuck anyone else, but like, the word is fuckable. Like, so he, for a long time, it was just, to me, like I just couldn't imagine him getting women, right, at all. And then he did this process where he realized that he was angry all the time. He was really angry, and when he got angry, he would suppress it, and it would manifest for him as boredom. And he kind of had these like little mini tiny passive aggressive outbursts. But I'm very sensitive to these things. Like, I'm and a lot of women are constantly sensitive to male anger and male aggression, because that's evolutionary how we survive, right? And so he was suppressing it. It's not anything you would bring up in a work meeting or something, but it was just this subtle thing. And at some point, he kind of just like, and he was hanging out with all of us. He's a good friend of mine, and he just like let the anger course through him and didn't suppress it. And immediately it was like, oh, I could imagine you getting women now. Like he went from totally unfuckable to fuckable. It was, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it was like, oh, here's how I describe it. My nervous system felt safe around him. Like all the time, my nervous system was not safe around him. I felt like he was like, and I like him. He's a great guy. And I don't think he was going to do anything crazy. This is just such a subtle level. If I think someone's going to be actually aggressive or violent in any way, I will fucking tell them to leave my house and never see me again. Like I'm super hardcore about that. I've told many people not to ever come near me again, and for no reason, for like some subtle thing that whatever. But he it was just a vibe level thing. But it was, and other friends have done this too. Like if once they start to like kind of sort out their emotional shit, they feel different and they become someone who can be attractive. And it's not, I mean, working out is great. Like working on yourself is amazing, but like it's not anything about becoming more attractive or wearing different clothing or anything like that. It's just like vibes. It's like, yeah. Let's read the comments. I'm just talking about getting along with women in society. I don't want them to select me. I think we've gotten our wires crossed. I'll just leave. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The issue with being, yeah, I mean, if you don't want women to select you, then you're fine. Like, if you like, yeah, I mean, if you don't want women to select you, like, everything's good, man. You can do whatever you want. Like, and legitimately, I mean that. I'm not trying to be upset. Like, if you decide in your life that you don't want women to select you, like, have a fucking amazing life, man. Like, go on adventures. I hope you just live the best life possible. But I'm just talking about men who want women to select them. The issue with being advised to just live your life and the relationships will happen is that it isn't how we approach accomplishing any other life goals. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, I found girls are interested in me sometimes because they feel I will be able to protect them. I think I didn't realize my muscles and size might be attractive. Yeah, they totally are. I guess I hadn't processed how unsafe some women feel in life. Yeah, dude, absolutely. And yeah, Jack, and it is up to you. Like, absolutely, it is up to you. Yeah, okay, like Lambda, I mean, yeah, I think you're totally right about that, because I think a lot about evolutionary psychology, and some people don't agree, but they're wrong. But you know, let's look back to like hunter-gatherer times. It wasn't safe, and that's how we evolved. You know, even apes. Like, if you're a woman, women are half as strong as men. Like, for all this women's rights fucking nonsense, like women are half as strong as men. You know, I work out pretty frequently, and my friend who works out and does nothing can lift as much as me. And like, it's, you know, it's just life. And so if there's a guy who has muscles and can protect you, and also like regular life is kind of unsafe. Like, you know, in a big city, you'll get guys, you know, depending on the kind of life you live, like if you're out at night, like you'll get guys hollering at you and following you and just acting kind of weird. And yeah. And so like having a guy who's strong, but also not just big and strong, that helps. It's huge. But if he gives the vibe that he's willing to protect you, that's massive. Like, if you get the vibe that he's going to run away when when someone comes to mug you guys and not take you, like, maybe if you do run away, you got to take her with you. Obviously, that's not the worst. You probably should run away with her, but yeah, not a guy who is. Unfortunately, a lot of women don't care if a guy is aggressive. They only care that he's not aggressive towards them. So I think sometimes niceness isn't such a big factor. It's actually how nice you are to her specifically. But that's different than being a nice guy. It's hard. I can explain that in a bit. But actually, the most attractive men have the capability of being violent and angry. They just don't. Or like, angry is obviously, I shouldn't say angry, right? Because angry is something you feel, and it's not like you should suppress how you feel. But yelling at someone is something you can change. So you can be angry as long as you don't like yell at someone, unless the situation absolutely calls for it. And you need to have the capability to yell, to be violent, yeah, to protect. I'll tell you what was an eye opener about female psychology: the popularity about 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah, dude. I haven't read it, but he was like a billionaire, right? He was like a billionaire and like a dom. Yeah, totally, exactly, dude. And the other thing about money, you know, a lot of guys say that like women are shallow because they want money, but if you look at it through an evolutionary psych lens, it makes perfect sense, because like you are going to be giving birth to a bunch of babies. You need a guy who can provide for you while you give birth to tons of babies. And it's very, you are not in a safe position if you're raising children. Yeah, like you're just not. I didn't hear women start to get explicit about preferring height and muscles until the last few years. Surprised me. Yeah, dude, height is I think a lot of women make a bad decisions based on height. When I talk to women about dating, it's like you should be very. I think women have high standards oftentimes because, especially because Tinder is so common. Like Tinder is super common, and it just makes you feel like you have the choice of every guy ever, and you can just set standards about height. Like things like height and baldness are dumb to set standards about. I mean, I get if you don't want to. I mean, I don't know. Everyone can make their own decisions, right? But like. I often tell women, like, think about the standards you want. Like, do you want a guy who's honest and is going to be a good father and can like provide for a family? Okay, great. There aren't a ton of men that are single and are willing to commit to you that are like in that category, right? If you add height, 14% of men are 6 or above. Like, do you actually want to narrow that entire pool of 100 guys down to 14 guys? And then, yeah, everything else, like, you know, if you want high IQ, if you want top 1%, it's another 1 in 100 guys. Like, you really got to think very carefully. You should have high standards for values. Like a guy who's, you know, has respect for you and like is honest, but like, height, dude. But you know, the nice thing that I say to women is that like if you don't care about baldness and height, you can get some like bargain basement guys. You can find some guys who are incredibly amazing, who are super high value, and other women overlook them specifically because they're shorter. And like, so you can get like a really cool guy for that. If you just like don't think too much about height, or like, you know, how he dresses. Like, who gives a shit about how he dresses? You know, why would that matter? That's just me. I mean, you know, everyone has their different opinions. Have you heard about female dating preferences changing due to the pill? The pill is the worst thing. Oh my God. I'm so thankful. My mom's a nurse, and she's just always been a little skeptical about a lot of medicine. And she was like, never take the pill. And I just didn't. And it's, you know, we just think that taking a hormone disruptor is just going to be fine for everyone. Everything's going to be fine. Your body thinks it's pregnant, but like it just tricks your body into thinking it's pregnant. So when women take the pill or the hormone IUD too, same. They look for different men. They look for men who are it's a little more complicated than this, but they're more attracted to men who are like kind of more beta. I guess I wonder if the idea is that your body thinks it's pregnant, so it thinks you're already having a baby. Now you need to find like a provider for the baby who's going to raise another man's kid. I'm not sure if that's exactly it, but yeah, and then men kind of have to like warp their identities to fit into this like fucked up version of what women want. And a lot of women, oh, here's something, guys, if your girl is on the pill, you need to get her off the pill before you marry her. You need to, before you propose. Because sometimes women are on the pill and then they get off the pill and they're no longer attracted to the man. You can't have that shit happen, dude. You have to make sure she's off the pill for a decent amount of time and still is attracted to you and still loves you. Like, and oh man, I have horror stories of the pill too. I had a friend who had strokes at 27 because of the birth control pill. I had another friend who was hanging out with this girl, and she said once she started taking, I think it was the hormone IUD, she went crazy. Like she became a huge bitch. And this girl was like an energy of, she was like a dark force of energy. It was not good. And she just couldn't be convinced that this change happened overnight and it wasn't her, because when you're in the midst of that, it feels normal. It doesn't feel like you're being influenced by something else. Yeah, dude, just don't let your girl take the pill, man. Use condoms if you have to, really. It sucks, but, or just get married and have kids. That's fine. Just do that. Stop putting off getting married and having kids. When you know. If you don't know, put it off. But also don't string women along. Like, another thing that I have to say on behalf of all women is that, like, we aren't taught this, and we aren't taught to advocate for ourselves here. But our window for fertility is small, and a lot of women are, not me, I'm married and he's the best. I have the best husband ever. But a lot of women are strung on by guys who just delay forever, and it's just not nice to do to a woman. If you know that she's not the one, you got to let her go. What got me is how much time passed before that got explicit. Were women ashamed to say they had physical preferences in years past? Yeah, I think so. I think women historically, I think, are not the pursuers. And so I think I would imagine that traditionally, they would talk to each other about things, but like men were traditionally the pursuers, and women weren't really like talking really loudly about what their preferences were. Here's a hot take. In prior generations, women learned more on the opinion of their parents to pick a partner. Young men trying to impress, yeah, oh my God. Young men trying to impress the parents of a potential wife was a much better incentive. I totally agree. Because I'm Jewish, and in the Jewish community, a lot of, not me, I'm not super religious, but like the really, really Orthodox ones will meet someone like 3 or 4 times, and then they'll get married. And the marriages seem to go very well. And they'll get married at 18, 21, like very young ages. And I thought about this hard, because all my friends at 21, they were in terrible relationships, like just dumb relationships to be in. And oftentimes they got strung out forever because they didn't want to let go. But the thing about previous, I mean, I can talk about the Jewish community. I'm sure other communities were similar, but like your parents know their parents. And if your parents don't know their parents, your parents know people who know their parents, and they can vouch for that guy. And there's just a lot more, people have seen that kid grow up. They know him, like, and he has to impress the parents. So it's like, what's his career trajectory look like? It's not just about how good he makes you feel. It's also about like, is this kid going to be a good, raise our grandchildren well? And like, obviously, and the women always have, like, as far as I can tell, I mean, I'm sure there are crazy extremists out there, but like, everyone always has a choice. Like, you don't just get married to whoever your parents want. You choose as well. So you can sit there and you can vibe with the guy, and you can talk about, you can feel the chemistry, which is super important. Chemistry is incredibly important. I would never tell someone to get married without chemistry. But your parents also have to make the decision, I wish there was more of that going on. I think it would. I've also seen a few Jewish marriages that are just not good compatibility, because like, you're relying on your parents' judgment. Maybe your parents don't have good judgment too. That sucks. But overall, as a system, it works. It does work as a large scale system in a lot of stable families. Meeting the guy's parents would probably blow up in his face. Why would that blow up in his face? I don't get it. Yeah, dude, the height thing is a cancer caused by computer use. That's absolutely true. Man, Tinder is it's like, I mean, it's designed to be gamified, right? You're just designed to swipe forever, and it, as a woman especially, like, you have a lot of options. It looks like you have a lot of options because guys are constantly swiping on you. You get 50 guys who swipe right at you. The thing is, though, that those guys aren't always looking for like a marriage. Like, it does look like a lot of guys are into you, But they just want to sleep with you. And so a lot of women on Tinder, I think, confuse how many guys want to sleep with them with how many guys they can, tie down. Like, which is it's two different things. Yeah, look, modern dating sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Like, it seems like people who meet on Tinder and are in a relationship report the same level of satisfaction, which is what you would expect. Like, the good thing about Tinder, I can go on about how bad Tinder is, but like, this is the world we live in, so we just have to work with it. The good thing about Tinder is that you can get tons of dates, and you can just, if you optimize your profile, if you're not doing well on Tinder, either try optimizing your profile, like taking better photos, taking photos with other men, have a puppy in the photo, or like you just gotta revert to IRL, which most guys do. Like, most guys don't do that well on Tinder. So yeah, women want a good father, dude. Absolutely. Because the parents might infantilize them in front of the girl. That's true. That sucks if that's you. But it's not every, like, if that's what the parents do, like, if she's looking for a good husband, and if you're not, here's the thing about infantilizing, you have to let it happen too. You have to let it happen. Like, if you're not letting your parents disrespect you or talk to you in a way that you don't want to be talked to, then that's fine. Like, if they're just being crazy and you're not letting them be crazy, then that's okay. But if you're going along with the infantilization, which a lot of guys are, like a lot of guys with the mommy issues, I think they're just going through, they're letting themselves be infantilized. They're letting themselves, they're co-creators of this universe. Like, you are the captain of your ship. Sometimes you got to tell people, like, especially people who've known you for a long time, sometimes you just got to tell them, hey, don't fucking talk to me like that. Or maybe you don't need to swear, right? But you can say, someone pushes you to do something you don't want. And before, you would have just kind of cowed down to them. You have to tell them, no, I'm not doing that. Don't ask me again. And just be harsh. Like, you have to be brutal and swift with it. Because a lot of times, if you have grown up in a certain way, people are used to treating you a certain way, and now you're different. And now you are a man or a woman, whatever, a non-binary he, they. But you are a grown-ass man now. So you have to tell people exactly how you will be treated. And if they don't treat you like that, you have to have boundaries. They treat you in a way that you don't like. In a way, your boundaries have to come out. So that might mean not seeing them and being very explicit about why you're not seeing them this, next dinner they invite you to, or whatever it is. Yeah, some guys suck with boundaries. That's why they're infantilized. I have thought about talking to some beggars like that. Yeah, you could. Good luck. I mean, I don't know. It depends on the vibe of the beggar, I guess. Yeah. As well as a parent's opinion, I think a woman would observe how a man is viewed by his peers. Oh, yeah. And her peers too. Also, how his relationship is with his mother. I think this dynamic is a healthy thing for society. Yeah. So a man, how his peers rate him is very important, because a man who doesn't have male friends is like, it's not a good thing. I don't think men should go to therapy as much as we say they should. I think men should be in contact with IRL friends that are male a lot more. I think men should have more men's groups. Women should have more women's groups too, but like, men should have more men's groups, and like, play soccer with your friends and stuff. Like, women like to talk. That's why therapy works for women. And therapy can work for men too. I'm not saying therapy doesn't work for men. Like, but like, men socialize by doing an activity together. So they get together and they play soccer, or they build something, or that's how gangs form too, by the way. That's just the natural thing for men to do. They work with their homies. Fuck yeah, just got him from soccer. Nice. And then they'll talk about things incidentally, as they work together. But like, they talk about the women as they work together. They go to the pub together and they drink, and they're a team, right? But if you're talking to a therapist, it's just like a one-on-one with somebody who's just like, they're not really your friend. They're just, I'm not saying don't go to therapy, but like, yeah, men need other men. That's healthy. And then here's another thing, like, if you're a guy and you have some crazy fucking feelings, you don't need to tell your girl first about it. If you have some, like, insane shit, you need to tell your guys about it first and let that help you process it. And then go tell your girl after you're, like, less crazy. But also, I do wanna say that how it's so important how your how your girlfriend's friends think of you. Like, if her friends think you're a loser, you don't really have a good chance. So making sure that her friends like you is very important, because women are very social creatures. We are very reliant on what our friends think. It's social ability is everything. Um, Women may say that they want you to be emotional open with them. This is a trap. Tough one. I think it depends on the women. I am fine with Elliot being emotionally open with me. It depends. It depends how advanced, how like leveled up she is in the consciousness game. I would say, if she's, and there's something called holding space as well for women, for men too, actually. But no, men do it too. But holding space is something where you like, when I try to hold space for Elliot, I ask him how he's feeling, and then I calmly, like, don't get too intellectual about it. Like, I don't attack him. I don't give him my opinions on anything. I'm not telling him how that makes me feel, which is different than an opinion. A feeling is like fear, anger, sadness. An opinion is like, you shouldn't have done that. I'm just letting him talk, and I'm asking him questions like, oh, what made you do that? Or, like, not in an accusatory way, but like actually trying to figure out why he did something, or like, yeah, how did that make you feel? And then if he feels safe, and also, like, it's my body. Does my body feel relaxed and safe? And if he feels safe, he will open up. But it's a process, right? And then if I say, like, oh, and you shouldn't have done that because that was a stupid thing to do, then he shuts down and he never wants to talk about it again because I attacked him in a place where he was vulnerable. And that's something that women have to know about, holding space and, like, actually practicing holding space. I was not very good at it. I'm better now. I'm not amazing. He's really good at it. I do think men naturally feel emotions less strongly than women, which is partially socialized and partially biological. Yeah, probably. I mean, on a whole, it's hard to say. Like, I think you're probably right. Yeah. This makes them less emotionally intelligent, also more dependable in a crisis. Yeah, I'm pretty dependable in a crisis. Like, okay, I mean, dependable in a crisis. That specific one, I'm not sure, because I see a lot of female ambulance officers, and, like, a lot of times dependability in a crisis seems to be about how well you're trained. But maybe, yeah, maybe Serene will save. Yeah, just donate $9.99 a month to my to my savior fund, please. I don't speak to my mother. How does that affect my chances? Look, I have a friend who is pretty emotionally healthy, and she's getting married soon, but she decided that she wouldn't be with anyone who didn't have a good family, like a stable family. Not most people are not like this. I think you have to. The fact that you don't speak to your mother indicates that something is wrong with their relationship, and not necessarily your fault. Like, it very well could have been the right thing to do. Probably was, right, to cut her off. That does mean that you probably have a lot of emotional hangups to do with women, and because your mother probably wasn't the best mother. And that does mean that you have more work to do in order to kind of sort yourself out. Like, guys, I think, like, for instance, Andrew Tate probably had a lot of mommy issues. People say Andrew Tate has daddy issues, but I don't think so. I think he has mommy issues. I mean, probably daddy issues too. He's kind of fucked up. But yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing ever. I think you probably don't speak to your mother because you have boundaries and you decided to grow up and didn't let her treat you a certain way. I'm not sure. I have no idea, but yeah. And affecting your chances, like, I don't think that's a good way to think about it, because you only need one wife. And so if it does affect your chances, what it lowers it by 20%. All right, go meet more women. Like, go meet 20% more women. I stopped because I realized she would never allow herself to be happy, and she was rarely ever nice. Yeah. Yeah, you don't need to tolerate that. You don't need to tolerate someone who's not nice. Um, yeah, Serena's go to relationships. Thanks. I have a great husband. I have a fantastic marriage. I'm very, very lucky. And I also searched for a long time. When I was 22, I decided that I was gonna find my husband, and so I just went on tons of Tinder dates. I went on date after date, and they lasted like 1 date, 2 dates. Because I would just like look for a very specific thing and like very specific attributes, and this guy didn't have them, so I would just cut him loose and keep going. And then eventually, my friend Jordan said, "Hey, you got to meet this guy. He doesn't wear shoes, and I hate shoes. I don't like wearing shoes." So I met him, and it was love. We got in love pretty quickly. We moved in very soon after. You just when you know. Like I just knew he was. I knew pretty like 6 weeks in that he was going to be my husband. And then I just committed from there. Like I think about all the things I did as a child to please that never worked. I realized as an adult there was no reason to keep it up forever. Yeah, and like okay, so what I would wonder is like, are you since you try to please your mom all the time, and maybe you aren't because you cut her off, but like a lot of I have a podcast coming out in like 4 weeks, 5 weeks about this. A lot of men grow up trying to please women because there aren't really men's spaces anymore. That's probably one of the reasons. And teachers are women. You're around your mother a lot more than you naturally would be, and you just try to please women all the time, and that's what men learn. And they shouldn't be learning to please women so much. Because women are nature. Like women, we're fickle. We love you like we're so happy with you one moment, and we're upset with you the next. And you can't try to persuade the ocean to stop hitting you with big waves. Like it just doesn't work. You just have to do your own thing, and be a container for the women. Like don't go with the emotions, just be there for the emotions to hear them and to kind of catch them, but not you don't need to ride. You're not riding every wave. That's not what you're there for. And women don't like it when you ride the wave. Women like the rock solid guy who will support them and be the anchor and be the solid dude without getting caught up in fucking all of our drama. Like it's not good. Even more space to take. Being less empathetic makes men more capable of offending, which is important for leadership. Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. Yeah, okay. I believe that. Oh yeah, I totally believe that. Yeah, Lambda. I absolutely agree. Not only offending, but also like if you're a leader, you need to be able to send young men and women to war and have them die because of your decisions. It's not like this isn't a fucking fairy tale. Everything you do, you build a superhighway that connects people and creates more jobs, and you're taking away land from farmers. Like nothing you do will end up with everyone happy with you. You will adversely affect a lot of people's lives if you are a leader, and you can't be overcome by that. And I don't think some women are okay with that. Statistically less. I think if we were honestly, I think if we were like a reasonable society that was merit based and hiring for the right jobs, I think we'd see like 10 or 20% women politicians. I think there are some great ones. I think the one in Italy's, I don't know much about her, but she seems pretty good. Georgia something. But I think most women aren't built for it. I don't think most women are built for like hardcore country leadership. Women are I think one sec. Oh, thanks, Lambda. That's very nice of you. Yeah, that's nice. We got a nice little trad corner going on. Yeah, I am responsible for your relationships, Mr. Accord. You're right. If you don't find someone, it's my fault. It's no one else's. Yeah. In the Jewish community, there's a lot of really nice women's circles because in the really religious sectors, which I mean, I hang out with them. Like I'm not super religious, but I hang out with them. The women and men don't talk to each other really, unless they're related or whatever. I mean, it depends on the person, but like that's a general rule. So the women have these nice like gatherings sometimes, and it's like such a good vibe. We hang out and we sing songs sometimes. Like there are times when everyone comes together and sings songs. I play guitar, and female leadership happens there, and it's different than male leadership. It's kind of It involves more crying and more like, yeah, just advice and things like that. And female leadership is really important. Like, the heads of the community in the Jewish community, the men do outward things. They have jobs and they have all sorts of things. And the women oftentimes volunteer, but they have really important jobs in the women's section. Like, they take care of all the women. If a woman's struggling, they, you know, get people together to help her. Or, you know, when someone gives birth, they'll like organize meals for the person. They'll like help counsel women not to divorce their husbands, like, you know, to see what they can do to like help fix their relationships. Like, there's a lot of women's leadership that happens that isn't overt male leadership. And I'm not saying women shouldn't step into male leadership roles. Like, sometimes we should, but I don't know. I think statistically, like, I think we kind of evolved to have kind of more traditional male and female roles. I think that's what we're suited to. Like, but it depends. Like, if your soul is telling you to do something, like, just go do it. But if society is telling you, then I don't know, make your own decisions. I grew a beard recently. How does that change things? I await your hard scientific facts and figures. Oh, totally. Okay. So beards are good if you don't mew a lot. If everyone should mew, by the way, everyone should be mewing all the time. Don't breathe with your mouth open and have your tongue resting on the top of your mouth. You can look up mewing and chew hard food. So if you don't have a strong jaw, oftentimes a beard will help cover up your weak jaw. It just depends. Like, Elliot has a pretty strong jaw, but I like his beard. So it just depends on the person too. Beards are generally, I like beards. A lot of women like beards. Some don't. I think, unfortunately, when you get married, your wife will decide your beard status. And that seems to be how it goes. You kind of relinquish your beard to her. Men you know, it's like a Ken doll. She gets to dress up. She just gets to, you know, figure out how you look. It's fun. An online friend messaged me about a matchmaking idea she had. She told me, but I think you would be a good leader of her. And she respectfully and impressed. Oh, amazing. Yeah. Short beard for looks maxing, apparently. I mean, yeah, if it makes you look better, wear the beard. If it doesn't make you look better, don't wear the beard. It's hard to tell though, because women often don't give men very many compliments. I try to, in a very not like, especially when my husband's around. I will like, yeah, not always, but like I try to give men compliments in a very much like, and I try very hard not to give them any sort of like indication that I'm interested in them. I kind of just say like, I said to a guy the other day, like, you have great facial structure. Your parents fed you a lot of hard food, I can tell. And he was like, yeah, they fed me a lot of meat. And I was like, I knew it. You have a good mewing jawline. But like, or like when a guy is like dressed really nice on the street, you know, it's like, oh, cool outfit, man. Like, it's just, women don't realize how much they can like affect a man's day by complimenting him. I think if I could give a message to all women everywhere, I would probably tell them to just compliment men more. When the thing is, like, I'm giving advice for me because I have good social skills and I can kind of tell when things are a good idea to do and not. And a lot of people don't have good social skills. And so like, if they compliment a guy, he might get really creepy and it's not something they could have predicted. Whereas I feel like I can often predict things like that. Or I can diffuse it or whatever. So maybe a lot of women don't give compliments because they're scared of what will happen. It's tough to say. I've never heard a guy care about a leadership in a woman for himself or for a buddy he would be setting up. Yeah. I have, but not many at all. I know a guy who's like, I want a boss bitch, you know, like he wants like a hardcore, like entrepreneurial girl. And that's cool. Like a lot of guys, yeah, and look, if you are a hardcore entrepreneurial girl, the guy, you know, there's a guy there for you, probably. It's not like we should be changing ourselves a ton. We should be working on ourselves all the time. But if you're like, my spirit is telling me that I need to be a CEO of a company, then like you gotta follow your soul too. But if it's like my insecurities, because my dad always pushed me and I was never good enough, that's why I want to be the CEO of a company. So somebody will finally love me. Then you gotta rethink your priorities, because it's never gonna make you happy. But like, yeah, I mean, look at Alex and Layla Hormozi. Like, they seem like a good couple. And she's just a awesome, amazing CEO of a company and does really well. It's tough advice though, because a man might easily misinterpret. What do you mean? A man might easily misinterpret what? I think leadership is mostly about being a good person, and I want to be the best person in the world, so I want to be a leader. Childhood attitude maybe, but it works for me. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty low resolution thing to say. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, I don't know how to exactly interpret, because I don't know what you mean by good person, right? So like, we might be on the same wavelength, but I just don't. I want to initially disagree with you, but you might have just used words that I don't click with. So that could be the thing. But like, a leader is about being a good person. Because there are bad people who are good leaders too. I can think of a few. Like, I think you can, if you are a good leader, you can do a lot of good in the world, which is amazing. Like, which is the best thing you could possibly hope for, really, in this world, to do more good than bad. I would strongly recommend Jocko Willink's books on leadership. Leadership Strategies and Tactics is one of them, and really excellent books for leaders. I want to be a leader because I'm hungry for power. My pickup line is, I am the Senate. That's great. You should say that to all the women. I am the Senate. And also tell them you're hungry for power. Just like, everyone is an individual, but in general, women want a high status man and men want physically attractive. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally. And like, yeah, absolutely. If you're a woman, make yourself more attractive. And if you're a man, make yourself higher status. Like, totally. I think a lot of I could talk. I don't know. I'm not really going to talk about physical attractiveness as women. Like, it feels too personal or whatever. But like, women know how to make themselves more physically attractive. But high status is tough, because I think a lot of men say, like, I was talking to a guy. Did I adopt the curls to get a man? I had these curls my whole life. And so does my husband, actually. We have matching curls, pretty close curls. We look very similar. Some people think we're siblings. We just say yes. So the thing about high status is, like, sometimes I get guys asking me, I was going on a walk with a guy. I just like to go on walks. And I was going, like, I have a share house. I have a lot of people. I forget even who it was. I've never straightened them to get a man. No, I've straightened them once or twice because my friends wanted to straighten it. Maybe for an event, I straightened it once. So one guy, I was walking with this guy, and he says, I hear women like it when a guy really knows his neighborhood and he walks around his neighborhood a lot. And it was kind of this move of like, okay, should I be higher status for a woman? Like, should I get to know my neighborhood for women? And it's like, no, dude, you should get to know your neighborhood because it's good to go on walks, and you should, like, just know your neighbors. Like, it's a good thing. Just do general good things. Like, just do things that are good for yourself. High status is like, trying to chase status for women is probably a bad idea if you're not doing it in a way that's aligned for you. I mean, you should ideally you would be chasing status incidentally. And so you're trying to get better at something, or you're trying to make something really great. And you want to pursue greatness and just whatever it is, man. If you're a plumber, like, build a business because you want to make a great plumbing business and you want to give great service to customers and you want to make money, and then that'll make you higher status. Like, but if you're doing it for women, like, oh, you might think like, oh, I need to get a corporate job because, women like guys who are in corporate jobs or something like that. Like, just don't play video games. Just do whatever you want. Pursue your dreams as long as they're not video gaming, because that's it's a waste of everyone's time. I play video games too, but I try not to. It's a bad habit. So Mr. Rogers was a pimp. Yeah, most people don't know this, but Mr. Rogers had 50 hoes in the stable. He just pimped them out all the time. He used to backhand them really hard too. He was a vicious guy, Mr. Rogers. Another tricky topic. I love these questions, Lambda. These are great questions. Another tricky topic. Modern culture advises men to seek explicit preemptive consent, but in female psychology, she wants to have somewhat resisted the guy. Yeah. Soft voice, hard backhand. That's Mr. Rogers. If you step into Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, you better watch out. Look, I think preemptive consent is Okay, in female psychology, she wants to have somewhat resistant guy. It depends on the woman. It definitely depends on the woman, and it's so dependent on her. Some women definitely yes, and some definitely no. But I would say that preemptive consent is important because many guys aren't very good at reading women, and they have this overpowering sensation in their pants that is telling them to have sex, and it's overriding any sort of any sort of little nagging voices that say, hey, her body language isn't looking like she really wants to do this, right? Some guys are really good at like feeling out the situation, seeing if she really does want to, like how how stiff she is when she hugs you, or like just there are all these subtle sensations that are there, but most guys don't see them, especially young men. So like preemptive consent is a social society-wide policy that only that is probably a good idea the more autistic you are, and not necessary for some guys. When should a man ask the girl they are dating to marry? That's a good question. It depends how old you are. If you are under like 23, probably, I don't know. I just threw out a number, but it depends how mature you are as well. But like really ask if you have a good family structure or like a good social structure, you should be talking to them. I think when you know. I mean, for me at least, when you like, and for my husband, like we just knew. But we spent a lot of time listening to our intuitions and figuring out how to navigate life based on what our intuitions tell us and what we know to be true within ourselves. And so if you're not very good at listening to your intuition, it's a hard one. It's a really hard one. I would say like talk to friends and family and talk about it a lot, as much as you can. And there will be a little voice inside of you for almost any situation. I mean, not the winning lotto numbers, but like whether or not this person is a good friend to you, for instance. Like you can ask yourself, is Joseph a good friend to me? And you can hear a voice that says yes or no, or yeah, but around women, he's not, he kind of throws me under the bus to attract a woman, like whatever it is. But you gotta really tune into that little voice, and you might not really be like always tuned into it. So you got to practice that. And the next one is like, okay, does she respect you? Is your relationship something that you enjoy? So like, first of all, do you want to lead a little bit more in a relationship? And does she kind of let you lead? Like, does she respect your decisions? If you make a decision that is, it really depends on you. I'm more trad, man. I'm a lot more trad. So there's this book called The Surrendered Wife, which I really like. And I thought it was helpful for my relationship. Although it's not a full compendium. Like I think it neglects the vibes part of things, and it neglects the like, I think it encourages women a little bit to like override their emotions, or their feelings. And I don't like that, but overall it's pretty good. But like it says, if your man wants to make this crazy business decision, not crazy, but like a business decision that you don't agree with, just let him do it, right? Just let him do it. And and don't nag him about it, and don't like tell him that he's wrong or try to discourage him, because like you need to be his rock and his support. And if he can't afford to pay the electricity bills, then you light some candles and you have a good time. Like you need to support him all the time. And that doesn't mean supporting his gambling habit or his drug abuse, or like his abuse towards you. Like there are obviously lines and boundaries, but if you're treating your guy, and this is a relationship style, this doesn't mean everyone should do it. But like for me, if your guy's a leader, then you got to treat him like a leader. And like, but some people don't want that type of relationship. Some people want more of an egalitarian relationship. So then you just got to ask, like, is she respecting you? How good is she with finances? How good is she with kids? Have you seen her around kids? Does she want kids? Does she act like an adult? That's a great question, because you're gonna have financial ties with this person. So like, how much debt does she have? Is she accruing more debt, or is she paying it off? What are her spending habits like? When she gets more money, does she spend more money, or does she, live within her means, like save up money? That's Like, there are a few really important, just basic decisions that you have to know. Sex should be within marriage. I mean, yeah. It's if you only do sex within marriage, you a lot less room to fuck up, a lot less room to like make mistakes. I mean, it's a pretty good way to structure a society. To my matchmaking friend, I joked the girl she had in mind was praying to God every night for a husband so she can be ravished without sin. Okay. Yep. Did she still recommend you the girl after you said that? Given how many people misunderstood Baby It's Cold Outside, I guess autism rates are pretty high. Yeah. I was shocked how many women have fantasies about less consensual events. Obviously, having a fantasy versus is different to when something happened. So yeah, I mean, yeah, some women are into that. If you're into that, I think more women than men are into that. So if you're into that, then good for you. If you're not, whatever. You can make it work, I guess. So counting months and stuff like that doesn't make much sense, right? No, I don't think so. Nah. I knew my husband was right very early on. I don't think it's about how long you've been together. Although if you're getting into like multiple years and you're not ready yet, like something's got to change, and maybe you need to maybe you need to do some soul searching, or maybe you just need to cut it loose. But like, don't waste a women's time. It's kind of a sin to do that. Like, and I mean that in a very spiritual sense. Like, we're not, as women, by the way, we're not taught anything about like, hey, you're most attractive when you're young. And so that's when you should be trying to find a man. Like, don't fuck around when you're young. Like, try to find a guy. And then also, we're not taught like, if you want to have a family, you have to start. You can't start having a family at 38. Like, you can maybe, but if you're lucky, you'll get one kid, maybe two, if the gods have smiled upon you. But sorry, Hashem, the god. But yeah, man, you can't like if you hang around with a woman and you're not ready to commit and it's a long time, you have to let her go, because you are taking her chances to find a guy that is good for her and is right for her. Like, you're hurting her on a spiritual level, and you're hurting her life path in a really deep way. She replied, bro. Okay. All right. Did she match you with a girl? How did it go? Have you matched with her yet? I do think you'd be a good leader, Joe. You're a leader of men, I think. Follow him for stock advice. He's, the good thing about you, Joe, is oh, I'm sorry, I called you Joe. I've doxed you to everyone. Joe Accord. The thing I like about Joe is he's a stable dude. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I should tell. I'm just gonna tell everyone your story. He was homeless for a while, and he was living in his car, and he just worked his ass off, like at Starbucks, and started investing in stocks, and started like, just investing in stocks with dividends. Worked super hard, got his own, rented an apartment, and now he's like, he's living like he just has. I don't know if you're totally living off dividends, but like, damn, he's doing so well in a few years, and like anyone would be so lucky to marry you, especially you. If any rich heiresses are out there and you don't really like to handle money, Joe Parrish is your guy. Really, he is gonna make the best financial decisions with your money possible. I swear to God, he's just very even-tempered. Yeah. How important is maturity? I've heard it's good to grow with your partner. That's a good question. It depends, man. Like, can I ask how old you are? And then what do you mean by maturity? Like, it is good to grow with your partner, and you will grow with your partner. And one thing to notice is like, how much do they like to grow? Are they improving themselves, or are they not improving themselves? Like, if she's watching reality TV all day and then gossiping with her friends, and like, I mean, reality TV, there's nothing wrong with reality TV in limits, but like, if she's just on TikTok all day and not improving and stagnant as a person, like, I don't know, man. I mean, if you're doing that the male equivalent, you should be growing, right? And I can't say that you should make your women grow because I don't know if you can really make people do that, but like it's important to find someone who's willing to grow throughout time. And who is growing throughout time in their own way. It's not how you want them to grow, but if they're like doing hobbies, even if she's, crocheting, like she's getting better at crochet, awesome. She's making something, she's giving something to people, she's adding to her community, she's baking and like giving baked goods to people, whatever, if she's playing a sport or like learning about whatever, it's just, it doesn't have to be something that's like hyper productive and making money all the time, but she should be improving herself in some way. Yeah, 24. I mean, yeah, at that age, financials, I would say like the one I'm kind of thinking of right now is for some reason, I guess I do like money, but financials, like, is she continuously taking out more credit card debt? Is she buying the fancy car that she can't afford? Like, I met this couple who were waiters or in the food service industry, and they were buying and they bought a new car. Like, it must have been 25 grand. Why do you have a new car if you're a waiter? Like, how much debt are you in? Are you paying like 17% interest? Like, what the fuck? Because you don't want a used car. Yeah, it's just going to destroy you financially if you're not acting maturely in that way. But maturity, I mean, what is maturity? Like, you must be talking about a negative side of maturity, because if you were talking about like she's really goofy and fun and she loves kids, that's not something you'd be complaining about. So, is she gossiping about people a lot? Is she throwing tantrums when she doesn't get her way? Like, yeah, I mean, it depends. And like, even if you don't want to say, like, I'd love it if you could say what the problem is, but even if you're not going to say what the problem is, like, is she acknowledging her flaws? First of all, are you telling her like in a constructive way? Are you saying like, and are you putting boundaries down when she's not acting in a way that is appropriate? Like, if she's throwing a tantrum, are you ceding to the tantrum? Are you letting her win? Are you letting her spend your money on crap that she doesn't need when you need to be saving for a house? Like, or is it a problem that she's working on? I think that's different things. Do you feel, and also, can you communicate? That's so important. Can you communicate with her? Can you tell her what's going on with you and not have a screaming match happen? Can you tell her what's going on with you and like have her listen to you deeply and try to work with you on something, or listen to you or whatever? Like, can you bring up problems? Do you feel in control and have a sense of responsibility or not is the answer. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. Like, I mean, I guess doesn't really say what she's thinking and lies about it. Dude, I hate lies. I will not. You have asked either the correct or the wrong person about this, but I do not tolerate lies in my life. People who lie, like, yeah, dude, I'm pretty hardline about this. I will not be in a relationship, especially especially a romantic relationship, in which I have to sort through someone's bullshit. I'm gonna die one day. I'm not gonna spend my time trying to figure out whether you're lying to me or not. Fuck that. No. For me, that would be a deal breaker. It would be an absolute deal breaker. I mean, that person would have one shot maybe. But even then, if it's happening more than once, no, white lies. No white lies. White lies are just lies. It's a symptom of a larger problem. Yeah, I'm a hard line about this, dude. You've asked the most hardline person about lying that you could possibly have asked. Yeah. Everyone does not have that requirement. Honesty and integrity, absolutely not. They do not have that requirement. I think integrity is hard. Integrity only manifests when you're going through a tough time, because it's easy to act integrous when everything's going well for you. And I'm not saying I always act integrous either. Like, I'm a flawed individual, but I try to. Yeah, dude, because if they're telling small lies, they're telling big lies. And even that, like, why would you tell me that the fabric of the universe is not what it is? Why would you tell me that reality is not what it is? Like, if you love me, you will tell me your best understanding of reality. It's a sin to me. Like it's like a deep, I'm pretty spiritual. I have a lot of spiritual beliefs. And it is, you are like, to me, you are corrupting the fabric of the universe when you lie. And that's funny actually, because I made a joke earlier when I first started the stream. I said, this is my first ever stream. And then I said I lied because it was actually my second, because I had just started one and the sound was bad. So I started another one. Coincidences. Never lie ever. Tell the truth, even if it gets you shot. No, don't tell the truth if it gets you shot. There are times when you should lie. There are, really. Like Sam Harris said it best, I think. Like, when Anne Frank's in your basement, you should lie. If I've lied, like if someone says, hey girl, where are you going? I'll say, like, you know, and he's a creepy ass dude, I'm gonna say, like, I'm meeting my husband or whatever, even if I'm not, right? Like, there are times to lie, and that is, lying is on the spectrum of violence. And so to me, in my categorization of the world, so a lie, if it might be appropriate to hurt a person. So for instance, if a guy's acting creepy and I'm scared for my safety, it's not quite right to hurt him yet because he hasn't done anything to me, but it is okay to lie, because that it's like sometimes like a lesser version of inflicting pain on someone. Like, yeah, I would consider, like, lying to stop physical injury. And I mean, there are some, I'm sure there's an exception there. I'm sure there's some times to lie that are not physical injury, but there aren't a lot of times where you should lie. Taking action triumphs, talking about dating. I don't know what that means. Me and Anne go way back, in fact. I don't know what those things mean. Navigate simpler truths. Yeah, dude. Simple truths. Yeah, and I'm not saying, like, I honestly, I have lied in my life, obviously. I think it was like 22, I got super into Jordan Peterson, and I was like, oh, this is like, it really restructured my mind in a and Anne Frank were in my basement. You probably shouldn't say you go way back. You should probably say you don't know her. No, dude, Jordan Peterson totally changed my life. I think now he's like, I don't know, he's on another level. Something's happened to him, I think. But he was really useful to me. The no lying stuff and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. But Robert Glover, actually, if you're a guy and you're interested in dating, Robert Glover has this excellent, Jordan Peterson got me to eat better. Sam Harris convinced me to stop lying. Hey man, Sam Harris is dope. I think Sam Harris should, I thought Sam Harris should run for president, but I think he's probably too empathetic. I think actually, like Lambda said, less empathy is better for presidents. I think you probably want psychopaths in charge, actually. Psychopaths are evolutionarily useful. I think I think oftentimes they make good leaders. Pro-social psychopaths, obviously, but he has schizophrenia now. He's got something wrong, man. He got off benzos. He really sacrificed himself in the way that Jesus did. And it kind of shows what happened. Like, he kind of went all out, man. He did like this giant world tour, like 300 different countries, you know, back and forth. Probably didn't sleep enough, probably didn't eat well enough, like, and then just was on benzos and like got off them. And yeah, I think he could have had a longer, I don't know, I think he could have saved himself, but he decided he did what he thought was best. And that's what happened to him, man. I fucking love Jordan Peterson. I will always go to bat for Jordan Peterson. I think he changed my life. He really put me on a better life direction. I was kind of a nihilist before that. I was not going anywhere. And he was like, get your shit together. And I did it. It was good. Man, really, like, top influence in my life, probably, besides my parents. So Serena's endorsed Trump. I don't know, man. Have I endorsed Trump? I don't like Kamala. If I was going to vote for one, I would probably vote for Trump, but I'm not going to vote for either because I don't want to vote for Trump, you know? As you can see by suit, my left leg in order and my right leg is chaos, and that's no joke. And he's crying. He starts crying halfway through it too. She's clinically anxious and she's heading in the right direction. Yeah, clinically anxious is a cause. It's not an excuse. Like if she's using it as I'm sorry, I might be blowing up your relationship today, man. But you asked the question, so you're getting the answer. Clinically anxious is not an excuse. Like clinically anxious. Oh, by the way, clinically anxious means there are alarm bells going off in your head. And you need to figure out why they're going off in your head because something is up. Like it could be just like she's not getting enough exercise, right? Or it could be that she doesn't feel safe in her life for some reason. It could be her relationship. Like if her relation, if this relationship isn't good, then she could be getting anxiety because of that. If her parents taught her that you always have to be on edge because you never know when the other, when the hammer's going to strike, then she could be anxious because of that. But like, it's there for a reason. And she has to figure out how to like live with the emotions. And what I mean by live with the emotions and not as like tolerate them and white knuckle. Actually what popped into my head just then is Bobby. Does she have any coping mechanisms? That's what I want to know. I don't know who Joji is. I also got Barry Peterson watch. Yeah, dude, I watched all the Maps Meeting lectures. Yeah, I think I watched every lecture for a few years straight that he put out. It was, yeah. I got a job as a gardener so I could listen to lectures online. And then I got a job in the weed industry so I could just listen to lectures online all day while I rolled joints. 2,000 a day or so. Yeah, I wouldn't advocate smoking a lot of weed now though, but that was a fun phase of my life. That was a good job. I just listened to Jordan Peterson and roll joints all day. So yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So what I mean by like live with your emotions is so like actually feel the anxiety. Like right now I can feel some anxiety and it actually feels like it's in my solar plexus about to go into my chest a little bit. And what that feels like is like a tight ball of tension and I can just be with it. A lot of people try to escape or they don't notice their emotions, but they're driven by their emotions. Just because you don't notice your emotions doesn't mean they're not affecting you every day and influencing you every day. So, oh dude, it was the best life. It was the most fun job ever. And I also didn't want to work there. And I was like, I don't want a 9-to-5 job ever in my life. Cause if I don't like this job, I'm not going to like any job. But yeah, dude, you got to feel your emotions. Like if you feel anger, you got to like let it course through your body and notice it. The key is noticing your emotions as much as you possibly can. Like when I used to smoke weed, I don't smoke anymore, but I journaled for a long time of like, okay, so I feel stressed right now, and then I want to smoke weed, and then like when I smoked weed, I'd be like, oh, my stress went away, like this ball of anxiety in my solar plexus went away. Oh, that's interesting. So like that's probably why I'm doing it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why. There were a lot of reasons why, but yeah. So like clinical anxiety is a thing, but it's the start of the adventure. It's not an excuse for bad behavior, I would say. And that's the long story short. She's heading in the right direction. Why is she heading in the right direction? What does that mean? And I mean, that's cool. That's good that she's heading in the right direction. Like she's 24 or whatever. She's young. People got to sort their shit out. I would cut that lying shit out though. I would be really hardline about that lying shit. I can't go on, man. Because that's one of those things, I talked at the beginning of this episode about like those girls, that woman that men are afraid of, where she leaves you all of a sudden for no reason. If your girl never lies to you ever, that's probably not going to happen. Like, and I mean, she never leaves for no reason out of the blue. Like you're just ignoring all the signs, right? This guy is like just ignoring everything she's saying. Probably, and she's probably complaining and telling him what's wrong, and he's ignoring it. But like, or something's happening and he's not paying attention. But like, a woman who never lies to you is going to give you way fewer problems forever. And also, if you can't communicate with her, like, you're just playing marriage on hard mode. Marriages are hard enough already. Don't choose someone who you can't communicate with. That's a terrible idea. It's just, I mean, you can have a marriage with them, and it's just much harder, and I wouldn't recommend it. Lying is chill if it's happy and hyperbolic, I think. Yeah, if it's like funny. I mean, if it's a joke. I'm not saying that, like, I told everyone I was a billionaire earlier on the stream. I'm not a billionaire. Like, there's jokes and there's lies, and they're not the same thing. I don't consider them the same thing. I haven't paid off 36 senators to frack, if anyone was wondering. I feel, yeah. Perspective and attitude is much more important than circumstances. Yeah, for sure. I see a lot of miserable people with objectively good lives. Yeah, dude, that's true. I married a really happy guy. That wasn't on my list of requirements for a husband, but I'm very happy that I'm just so lucky that I married a guy who's just happy all the time, almost all the time. Yeah, I think part of it, like, I think people don't realize, and I'm like not happy all the time. Like, I'm getting better at it, but I had to conceptualize it as a skill that you can get better at, and to actually work towards being happier, like getting rid of shame. Like, I had more shame before, and I'm still dealing with it, but like I have less now. And it's like a skill that you have to work on, getting happier. Totally worth it. I think it clears out a lot of bullshit in your life. Also, like, exercise is really helpful for me, and like a good diet helps with happiness. Better single than in a bad marriage. Yes, I would say, like, don't enter into a bad marriage. I will say, to a caveat to that, like, if you have kids, I think oftentimes you gotta stick it out, man. If you're being abused, if you're being like really abused, you know, obviously cut your losses. But I think kids do a lot better with parents who are together, even if the parents aren't super happy. Like, I think once you have kids, you kind of have to stick it out, make the marriage work. Do everything you can to fix the marriage. I think people probably divorce too much with kids. If you don't have kids, who gives a shit? Do whatever you want. But like, once you have kids, man. I don't mew. I even file my chin down, Betamaxing. Mewing billionaire with curly hair. I got close. Elliot ate meat his whole life, and he has curly hair. I'm close as I got the best guy. Keeping the soul intact. Good faith, white lies, keeping good. I don't know. Why does lying keep the soul intact? I don't see that. Jordan North. No, I'm just hardcore about lying, man. I just, like, even with my friends, I'm like, oh, don't lie to me. Just like I reward specifically. I really try to reward good, like, honest behavior from my friends. Like, a friend of mine was like, I am not going to come to this. Like, I can't come to this dinner. I'm just not in the mood for it. And I was like, thank you so much for saying that. Like, a lot of people would have said, like, said I'm busy or whatever, and you just told me. And I just said, like, that was, I really respect the hell out of that. Like, thank you. And then she was like, I was so scared of saying that. Thank you. Like, but yeah, if you want good behavior from your friends, you gotta reward it. It's like training a dog. I mean, it's, people aren't dogs. It's not like manipulation. I'm not trying to say manipulate your friends, but like, you want your friends to be honest with you. You have to take it well. You have to take it well, and you have to thank them, or anything. You want your friends to respect you. You can't tolerate disrespectful behavior. Anything. Very anti-divorce. I don't think the requirement to divorce should be just, I would be better single. Yeah, no, don't do that. Yeah, you made a commitment when you're married. You do make a commitment with all your family and friends, and I don't think you should just, like, let a marriage go. But that's kind of my personal opinion. But when kids are involved, I think it's a lot. It's a lot more. You should really stick with it. Because you're not, it's not just about yourself. Like, you can act selfishly if it's you and one other person, but if you brought kids into the world, man, you're like, yeah. But yeah, I want a woman who will lie with me, though. It's a double entendre. Yeah, man, take over the world, lie together. You get it. But honest behavior to you might be to a different degree compared to others and their experienced efforts. I don't know what that means. Honest behavior is not like you're honest or you're not. I don't think there's, to me, it's just a lot less nuanced than that. Like, I guess I have many micro rules here that aren't showing up, but like, you might not know what reality is, but you can tell someone your best impression of reality. And you also, obviously you can't tell someone every single thing that's ever happened to you because that's impossible, right? I breathed in and then I breathed out. But you probably have a pretty good idea of what they need to know and what shouldn't be left out. And I mean, leaving things out is even different than lying. Like if you're telling, look, are you telling someone that reality is different than it is? Are you telling someone that reality is not what reality is? Are you giving someone a false impression of reality, or are you not? That's it, man. If that's it, like it's as simple as that to me. I don't know why that's chill. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't really get it. I'd love to hear more. Deceiving by omission is still wrong. Yeah. Yeah, it's harder. It's harder though to deceive. Like, it's hard to figure out what deceiving by omission is. There are just more kind of nuanced rules on what that means. Yeah, dude. That was pretty much the number one thing when I was dating. Like, does he lie? And you can tell really early on, if you pay attention, like people lie in very small ways, that you can pick up on. And then you can just get rid of them, you know, it's not that bad. I remember even Christopher Hitchens was impressed by the nuance of thou shalt not give false testimony against thy neighbor. Yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly. Why just against thy neighbor though? Who doesn't count as your neighbor? Like the guy from the other town? Can you give false testimony against him? I'm sure they've covered this. I'm sure they've covered this somewhere. In Judaism, they like extrapolate these a million times, and so it probably gets extrapolated to like everyone. But yeah, they like make all sorts of rules based on the Torah. I think religion's based. I think religion's awesome. Christopher Hitchens was super smart, but who is thy name? Oh yeah, I don't do Jesus. You're a great guy is an example of an omission. We all know there's a but, and that's never said. It depends on the context. Is someone saying you're a great guy, but we can't be together? Because I mean, the question is though, if she tells you you're a great guy, but we can't be together, she is being, I don't know if like not criticizing someone is an example of a lie. Like, I don't need to tell you every single thing I think about you all the time, right? I don't need to tell you every single negative thing I think about you, especially. So, I mean, are you asking for feedback? Have you like, if you say specifically like, I would love to hear any feedback that you have or any impressions like that would help me in the future with other women, and she still says you're a great guy, I'm too busy, then she's lying. But not telling you that you smell bad is like immediately when you haven't asked for it is pretty normal. I don't know if that's a lie. Do you put in the same effort as a college level athlete? Props not, because we are different and grab energy and connection from different places and areas, metaphysical to physical. I do not put in the same level of effort as a college athlete. And grab different connections from different places and areas, medical. Yeah, I mean, we definitely do. Yeah, and people too. Definitely grab different energy and place, like from people. Everyone has their own energy field that influences everyone else. Like if you look at, here's some vibe exercises you can have. If you look at someone, feel how your body feels around them. Like do a body scan. If you know what a body scan is, like go from top to bottom and like feel how your body feels. Do you feel like more tightness in your chest or more like sensation in your arms or whatever? and then look at someone else, and your body will feel different. And it's a good idea to pay attention to how your body feels around everyone as much as you possibly can. And when you're alone, and this is like a vibes thing. This is going to help you get women. I promise. If you're good at it, it will help you. Yeah, I don't know the parable about the Good Samaritan. I'm Jewish. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think you're including someone I'd want to date in your definition of great. Yeah, you would think if someone's great, they would be someone you want to date. But actually, you know what? I've met great guys on dates, and there just wasn't chemistry, or they just weren't for me. Like, they just didn't, like, they were smart and ambitious and great, but they just didn't think the same as me. Like, maybe just had little differences in values, or like they just didn't. I think chemistry is really important, dude. Like, okay, guys get this. A lot of, especially younger guys, I think, don't understand chemistry. You can be attracted to a woman but not have chemistry with her. So a really attractive woman, you can not have any chemistry with her, and you have to figure out what chemistry means and what that feels like, because you want chemistry in a marriage. It's really important. Looks will fade. Chemistry can stay if you work on it. I value my blunt friends really highly. Yeah, dude, you should. They're probably good friends to you. Do they get, like, do they tell you when you fuck up, your blunt friends? It's the best in a friend if they can tell you. I think I don't blame anyone for being a little dishonest for the sake of politeness, especially when you don't know how they react. Yeah, I do. I mean, if you think that, unless they think that somebody's going to get violent, if violence is on the table, honesty is can go to the wayside. But violence is usually not on the table. If I were great, I think either they'd be dating me or someone else would be, and they wouldn't feel like they need to tell me I'm great at all. You know, Joe, if we're gonna get into this on the stream, I think you're just a certain type of person, man. Like, you're a little more serious. Like, you're pretty stable. I think a lot of young women oftentimes don't kind of know what they're missing when there's a stable guy. You're a little more stoic. Like, I kind of get the feeling like you're not as in touch with the vibes. I think you do well from, like, hanging out with some hippies and doing some like I don't know if they have 5 Rhythms dance over there, but like, hang out with some hippies and do some embodied work. And they're poor. You can do it for cheap, and just like kind of, you can just get a better sense of yourself. I think if you worked on your vibes, you'd probably attract a lot more women and change nothing else at all. Great guys don't get told they are great, except Alexander the Great. He was pretty great. Alexander the nice guy. That's not what they called him. I feel like phrases like "you're a great guy" come along because some guys would react very. Yeah, that's true, dude. That's absolutely true. Especially when, like, in a sexual situation, like, totally. Some guys go off the rocker. I agree. Okay, yeah, you're right. Like, you just don't know how someone's going to react, especially if you're, like, not that good at reading people, which most people aren't, and, like, you've just met the guy once and you kind of have the feeling it's a little off. Like, yeah, just don't tell him. Just let it go. Try to make it as easy as possible. I think blunt people pay a great price for being that way. I don't know. I'm pretty blunt, I think. I think it's helpful if you can be funny. I've tried not to be so blunt in my life. Like, I do try to add more grace and less bluntness, because people take it better as well. I think it's actually easier to get your message across if you're nice, if you're nicer. And also, like, there's this time to be blunt, but, like, a very specific time not to be blunt. And some of the times not to be blunt are like when somebody shows you a new piece of art that they're working on that they haven't released yet. And it's like a little baby bird, and you got to be really gentle with it. Some things you got to be really gentle with, and you can't be blunt about. You have to, like, you gotta encourage, really, some things. Violence is what happens when they forget my chicken sauce on the side. How dare they? They deserve it. You need to take your vengeance, sir, for getting your chicken sauce. Who do they think they are? Do they not know who you are? Rage vengeance on them for your attendees. I also think assuming people are all lying when they call you a great guy betrays a little bit of low self-esteem on your part. Yeah, dude. Absolutely. Gamebot. You got to listen to Gamebot Color, dude. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I'm not a great guy. Yeah, dude. Don't let people tell you that. Like, mindset is so important. So many guys I talk to are just slaves to their own mindset when it comes to dating. They're slaves. And if they just stopped being like so imprisoned, it would be fine. I talked to this guy not too long ago who was like, you can't talk to girls in person anymore. It just can't happen. And I was on Twitter talking to him for a while and I just switched to a voice call. And he was like, I was just telling him like, hey, here's how to talk to strangers. Like, and by the way, when you're trying to talk to people in person, you don't just talk to girls, you talk to everyone. Like, you walk down the street and you say to your neighbor, you just like make eye contact and smile at your neighbor, or you say hi, or like you pet their dog, or you make a joke to the barista at the cafe. Like, oh, you remember my name. You must remember. I bet you remember 500 names here. It's not even a joke. It's just like a mild compliment. And you talk to every single person you possibly meet that you can't, not every single person, but like most people. And then you also talk to girls and you just become the dude who talks to everyone. And then you meet more people that way and you make friends. Like, it's just a lot easier to make friends if you're actually putting yourself out there and making eye contact and smiling. And this guy was like, yeah, but I look like a crazy person. Like, nobody does that. And it's like, oh, you think that nobody makes eye contact and smiles? Like, because he's probably just on his phone or like, down away from the world all the time. But like, he wouldn't allow the possibility that he could just like look at people and smile. That was how far down he was. Hope he's doing better. But and then yeah, it was if you kind of just allow yourself possibilities, and like, I don't know, man, look at pickup artists. Like, pickup artists are actually, I think a lot of their stuff is pretty scummy, but like they have a lot of good ideas, and they're okay with being rejected. If you are on Tinder these days, Tinder is hard if you're not like in the top 10% of men in terms of looks. That doesn't mean you're not worth dating. Like, if you can go and talk to women don't get approached very much nowadays. I mean, maybe super beautiful ones do, maybe, but like women who are a little less, they don't get approached very much at all. And if you go up to her and respectfully like have a conversation with her, say hi, compliment her outfit, whatever, she knows that first of all, you have confidence and that you can actually go and get what you want in the world, which is something women want. Women want a man who can go and get things in the world, right? Who doesn't like wait for reality to manifest its way to him, to give him what he wants. Like, that's kind of a loser mindset. Like, a winner goes and makes reality happen. But if you can just go up and talk to her, like, she understands that you did something brave and you face rejection, and it gives you a lot of points. And like, some women don't like being approached. Fuck them, dude. You're not going down the street harassing them, taking your dick out. Like, if they don't like being approached, move on. You will be rejected. That is life. Try to get rejected 50 times. Really try to get rejected. Like, make a game of it, like the women online who say they don't want to be approached by men, like, oh well, they're gonna get approached by men. It's fine. Like, don't be sleazy. You can just not be sleazy. The part that perplexed me for a long time is the mismatch between feedback and outcomes. Especially, eventually, I just realized that people aren't going to make a lot of sense. What do you expect? What kind of feedback do you expect? Do you expect them to like give you an itemized breakdown of what was wrong? And do you ask for an itemized breakdown of what was wrong? I spent several hours over several days trying to find a girl. And by the way, they do give you feedback. It's just nonverbal. It's a lot of nonverbal feedback. You have to read people. There's this book called What Every Body Is Saying. And it's a good book. It's a really good book for like when people are stressed, how interested they are. The thing is, after you read the book, you actually have to pay attention constantly to the world around you and practice it, which is the hard part, which might take months. to actually like remember to watch everyone all the time. But it's a very helpful book. Changed my life. I spent several hours over several days trying to find a girl I felt like approaching. I saw tons, but approached none. Then a month later, I finally, yeah. Ah, yeah, nice. You wanted to, did you end up in a relationship with her? The one you approached? That's great, man. Good for you. Maybe you just listen to yourself. Like maybe you just knew there wasn't something in all the other girls. So you knew there was something in this girl. Good stuff, man. Part of me deciding to be honest came from that realization. If I want to live in a world that makes more sense, I have to be someone who makes sense and not fucking confusing. Well, yeah, dude. It's life is easier when you're honest. The Konami code to intimacy and healthy I don't know what that Konami code is. I like hot dogs and hamburgers. Nice, dude. Do they give you the ketchup on the side, or do you rain violence upon their family? I think a mistake I've made in the past is that I'm very good at being funny and treating women in a fun, friendly way, but I think I get viewed as a clown or jester. That's not the problem. I don't think that's the problem. Girls love having me around and a friend, but they find me the mysterious. Yeah, that's not the problem. I don't think. Being funny is good. I don't think being a clown or jester is a problem. At least not to like all women ever. Some guy, like I've met a woman who's like, I don't want a funny guy. I just want to see like an accountant, right? But like most women are like, your problem is somewhere else. Could be that you're kind of like Robert Glover, this book called No More Mr. Nice Guy. You could be being a nice guy. You might be like, really like a nice guy is like the guy who just hangs around and does things for her. And I think what it is like he has this opinion of himself. Like I have to be nice to everyone, and that's how I get love. And that's how not necessarily how I get love, but like how I'm a good person. I'm inherently a bad person unless I'm nice to everyone all the time, and I have to bend backwards for everyone else, and I have to, change myself for other people. Like you don't want to be doing that. You got to be like the ideal relationship as a man. I think you got to be like, hey, I'm going on this journey. This is where I'm going. Do you want to come with me or no? And then she will choose to hop on that train or not hop on that train. But you're going on the journey with or without her. Yeah, you gotta examine what. So I mean, sorry, I'm being blunt, dude, but like, you gotta examine what. It's something else. I think it's something else. Socializing is a huge part of dating. More, yeah, dude. And not to mention like, if you socialize with people and you kind of let it be known that you're single and you're looking, your friends might hook you up with someone. If you find some nice girls and they're not the right person for you, they might have a friend who is good for you, and they'll vouch for you, which is super important. Women vouch for each other. Women vouch for men. Like if a woman vouches for you to another woman, she's risking status, because if you end up being a piece of shit, then she gets the blame as well, right? So if you're a good guy and you're solid and she vouches to another woman for you, that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. Not all women have to like you or want to be in a relationship with you. Like people are different. But yeah, friendship is important. And like, just the more friends you have, the more people you meet. Cultivating mystery. I don't think cultivating mystery is a good idea. If someone dates you while you're hiding a lot of yourself, they probably don't like who you really are. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand the mysterious thing. Cultivating mystery by collecting MTG booster packs and never opening them. Bitches love MTG. There's really nothing in the world that you could do to get women better than collecting Magic the Gathering, except like a body pillow and pictures of like sexy anime girls on your wall. That'll help too. Women love that. What do you mean get wrecked, Lambert? Lambert is cool. I like being nice and nonchalant. It makes the vibes, yeah, lighter, more healthy. Yeah, totally. Very much agree. I feel like the nice guy archetype lines up heavily with people pleasers in general. Yeah. Have to be nice and build up resentment because of it. If you find yourself building up resentment, like Robert Glover talks about this. Man, this podcast isn't going to be out for like 5 weeks, but like, no, maybe 3. Might be 3. But like, yeah, it's the guy who like, he does a lot of things for even his wife. He can do things. It can be his wife. Like he might have already had a woman, but he's just cleaning her car and he's getting her groceries and he's doing everything for her and she's not really doing a lot for him, and he feels resentful because there's this implicit contract that he's made where she owes him because he's taking care of her. So now she should take care of him. But he doesn't take care of himself, first of all. And so if he doesn't take care of himself, like, women aren't attracted to a guy who isn't taking care of himself, first of all. That's a big one. And like, he hasn't made a contract with her. He hasn't like asked for a specific thing, or even if he has, he's allowing her to treat him like that. And boundaries are important for a healthy relationship. I have found that boundaries make relationships better. Even if you think they're going to make them worse, they almost always make them better. Like, you have to establish how you will be treated. And you're not being a controlling asshole and like, telling her how to spend her money all the time. But like, if she's talking to you in a way that you don't want to be talked to, you have to say that's unacceptable. I won't be talked to like that. Like, women thrive with boundaries because we are like chaos. Our energy is chaotic and it's everywhere. It's like the ocean. You have to be strong and solid and like give foundation to the craziness. It's a very attractive thing. This is wider than just relationships. Low disagreeable people build up resentment in many ways. You mean agreeable people build up resentment in many ways? I think that's what you mean. Yeah. Low disagreeable. Yeah, I bet, because they're just nice to everyone and no one's returning the favor. And they also don't know how to express their anger. Like, if you're very agreeable it's not even very agreeable. It's like, I think a high resolution version would be like, you're not in touch with your anger, right? If you're like angry and sometimes guys, like a lot of dudes don't even like what Lambda said. A lot of guys don't feel their emotions very much. And, they're not in touch with their emotions. What I mean by in touch, I'm not like, you don't need to, I mean, you can cry, but like, I'm not talking about like, acting effeminate. It's like, if you are feeling angry, if you yell at someone, right? Your anger might be at 90% out of a possible 100, right? By the time you get to yelling at someone, your hands are shaking and your hands are in fists and you feel like there's energy pulsing through you, right? You should have picked that anger and noticed that anger when it was at 5%, right? If you feel a little bit of anger, it's coming up for a reason, right? It's not there to be suppressed and for you to tell it it's wrong. Like, anger is not wrong. Your feelings are not wrong. Sadness is not wrong, right? Acting like an asshole is wrong, but your anger is not wrong. So you need to feel it when it's at 5%, and you need to say, oh, I didn't like the way she talked to me there. And then maybe you think about it, or maybe you just say, hey, I didn't like that. I didn't like that tone of voice that you used. I will have respect. Or whatever it is. Like, you could just be nicer about it. Hey, like, I really didn't appreciate that. Like, could you please try to talk to me more respectfully? Whatever it is, But a lot of guys don't even feel their emotions. Like, I probably 1 in 5 I talk to, maybe even more. Just, you ask them like, what are you feeling right now? And they can't tell you. Like, how do you know when you're angry and they can't tell you? And so if you're one of those guys, it's kind of your job to like get a little more in touch with like, your emotions are running you. You just don't understand why. And some dudes, like some people, get sad instead of being angry, or they get angry instead of being sad. Like, maybe when you were a kid, you weren't allowed to be sad because boys don't cry, so you just get angry instead. But when you're angry, it actually means you're sad. Like, sometimes, And the other thing about anger that I'll say is, it actually, it's protecting something. So oftentimes you're hurt in some way, and it's like, well, if I get angry, then I can fix this hurt. But actually, the problem is that you're hurt. So deal with that. Yeah, dude, I can see everyone's vibes and follow what grows and heals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just you feel like I bet you have a good intuition as well. Like, yeah, you just follow what grows and heals. Just put positivity in the world. I try to do that. I'm in touch with darkness a lot. I struggle between like, because just positivity, just like, it's like listening to a song on that's only high frequency. Like, it's actually not a good song. Like, it sounds terrible, right? You need highs and lows. You need to like be with reality, but also aim towards growth and positivity. That's very true. And like, I don't know about focus. When people say focus on positivity, I have a hard time with that. I'm not like the most positive person either. I try to be, but like, I don't try to be the most positive person. I try to be more positive. But like, people say focus on positivity. I often wonder if that means ignore negativity or ignore the negative sensations, which I don't think is necessarily a good idea. I think once again, you just got to be with them. You got to like feel them. I started being less nice and generous overall when I realized that it's not what people want. You have to be willing to let people fail. Yeah, otherwise it looks like you're sticking your nose in their face. I had some good advice the other day from someone who said that he said I help someone as much as they help themselves. So if somebody helps them, and he tells them initially, if you help yourself 5%, I'm going to help you 5%. If you help yourself 95%, I'm going to help you 95%. Like, if you're putting a lot of effort into someone and then they're just not doing very much, then like, if they're in the same situation over and over again, it's a waste of your energy. They're kind of a vampire. Like, I've had this problem too, because like I have had some friends that kind of just see themselves in the same situation, and I'm like I have been like a sounding board for their problems without, and also like outsourcing their problems, like, or outsourcing their brain. Like, they'll come to me with problems and then like kind of get my advice and then act on my advice, but it's like, oh, you actually just need to use your brain. You can't outsource all of your resources to me. I think this is more common with women, because I think women tend to be like, this is a book called Action Inquiry, and it categorizes people. But one of the categories is like a diplomat. So it's actually levels of people. Like, one of the lower levels is diplomat, and someone who gets all of the for other people. So they won't really come up with an opinion that's and like, people, not everyone is like a diplomat all the time, but it's kind of like, often people revert to that as their like basis, and so you also got to remember that a lot of women will. That's why you don't see women with like crazy opinions as much, because I think we are more diplomatic. Like, it's also more dangerous to have crazy opinions if you're a woman. Evolutionarily, not as, doesn't make as much sense. Like, if a guy has a crazy opinion, he might be right and he might get a lot of success, and then he might, evolutionarily, he might get a ton of women and a ton of success. But a woman, like, she she can already kind of have like, a lot of success isn't going to help her with reproductive aims as much. That's so real. I have a hard time allowing myself to feel angry at people. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Women gonna women. Yeah. Yeah. You just gotta live with your anger. Like, your anger is, and I swear to God, I promise you, I don't know. I can't guarantee anything, but like, I really do think that if you get in touch with your anger and let it be in your body, I'm not saying fucking explode at people. That's not the same. But I don't think you think that's what it is. Be in touch with your anger, let it flow through you, feel it, and also the other emotions. Once you are in touch with your anger, you will feel less dangerous to women. Women have a sense of when guys are safe and when they're not. And it feels to me like a sense of whether or not I can relax around a guy. And or whether he's just like a little, like, some dudes, even if they're nice dudes and they've never done anything wrong and whatever, like, they're not physically strong, they feel like a powder keg about to explode. And I just, like, women don't want to be dating a powder keg that they can't trust. Like, if you are aligned in yourself, then you project a sense of alignedness, and people can see, especially healthy people can see that. Like, and you're looking to attract a healthy woman. Like, so a healthy, intuitive, well-versed woman will be able to see when a guy's aligned and healthy, and she will be attracted to that naturally. She'll be attracted to that energy. You'll just get more women. It's yeah, James Brown was absolutely right. This is a man's world, but it doesn't mean nothing without a woman or a girl. It's true. Absolutely true. Women are we have power. It is a man's world. Like, men make the buildings, but women women ask for the buildings, you know? Like women have power. We just this whole feminism thing, man. We just decided one day that we wanted male power. We already had female power, but somehow we aren't taught what female power is. Women don't know about female power. All men know what female power is. There's just like almost no men don't know what female power is, but women were never taught it. So we just think that all power is the type of power that men have, where you're strong and you go out and you get a good job and you like, you know, make a lot of money and stuff. And it's just not the same thing. Like women kind of run the world, but from the back seat or from the passenger seat, really. Yeah, women seem terrified of people thinking less of them. Some of the TikTok girls who are 10s, and they know they're 10s, say they're too nervous to ask a guy out. Yeah, I get it. It's just not like asking a guy out is just not a natural thing for a woman to do. There's a lot of rejection, and like the rejection involved is like, because if you're a 10 and you get rejected as a woman, like men are the pursuers, kind of biologically. Like if you can't be women aren't the pursuers, because if they just said yes to the first guy who asked to have sex with them, they would have a baby with the lowest status man around, you know? They would just have a baby with fucking anyone. It's a terrible decision evolutionarily. You would just have sex with like the guy with the worst genes, who's not going to provide for you, who's violent, you know, whatever. Like a woman has to be picky. It has its own problems. It's not that great. A lot of, you know, just because you can have sex with a lot of men doesn't mean your life is amazing. Yeah, but yeah, there's something different about him. I'm not saying women shouldn't ask a man. They can, but like it's a different. I think it's different if you get rejected as a woman. And also, like, a lot of men don't like women who are just, you know, pursuing like that. But then a lot of men aren't pursuing themselves, which is a problem. Men need to be pursuing more, not in a persistent, like, no doesn't mean no way, but just in a like, shoot your shot more, talk to more women. You know, rejection is fine. Rejection is okay. You just gotta, like, rejection will make you a stronger man. That men are, I think the perspective is very enlightening that men are high variance, whereas women are low variance. Yeah. E.g., IQ men have much higher. Yeah, totally. Women are way lower variance. Like, we don't need to be higher variance. And also, yeah, like women don't have super high or super low IQs as much. Like, it's just a fact. I don't know. I don't think women need to. Like, also, man, a lot of the women I know are really successful, and it sucks. It sucks. Like, really successful, really high-powered jobs, like lawyers, for instance, and they want a guy who's as high status as them or higher, but, you know, they might not be like the most beautiful person, you know, in the room. They maybe don't take care of themselves as much because they're working all the time. So they're kind of stuck because, and also they don't spend time dating. If you're a woman, you need to spend so much time dating. Dating is the most important. You need to play the numbers game, date 100 guys a year if you can. And, you know, until you find the guy, and then stop, obviously. But yeah, a lot of really successful high IQ women are just looking for higher IQ guys. And then higher IQ successful guys have the pick of the litter. Like, they don't need to go after another lawyer. They can go after someone else. You know, they can go after their paralegal, whatever. So I think women have less of an advantage if they are high IQ, actually. Especially ones who are really financially successful and want a guy with a master's degree and a PhD and all the status markers. It's tough. It's actually kind of easier to date if you're lower status in the male domain. So if you're lower status in, like, you know, you're not earning as much, and you're not, like, you don't need a guy who's just killing it like you are. And also, if you're working all the time, when are you going to go on dates? It just doesn't make sense. I think getting a law degree is probably the worst thing a woman can do in many circumstances. Not all the time, but like a lot. Although I know plenty of married lawyers, actually. I know lawyers with kids who seem fine. I think that there's a legitimate issue, this sort of girl boss feminism, where you end up creating a lot of toxic individualistic stuff because you're mimicking traditional masculinity. Yeah, totally. I don't think a lot of women are happy in that lifestyle either. Like, if you're happy, if you love it, like, great, always pursue what your soul desires. But like, I don't think women are happy in like working 60 hours a week most of the time. But it sucks because you want stability, and you can't. Not all women can find a guy who earns a ton of money. Like sometimes both people got to work, and you want to give goals. So it's kind of a catch-22 in a lot of ways. It helps if you can be happy being broke, or like not broke, but like low income. Like not broke. Broke is like bad spending habits and credit card debt. I mean, like not so many luxuries, and not eating out so much and all that stuff. Being a woman who is a 10 has its own challenges because you ought to be able to use your natural gifts to end up with an incredibly high value man, but such men are incredibly rare. Yeah, a lot of its own challenges, dude. Being a 10 is not what it's cracked up to be. I have a friend who's a 10. I was walking with her one day and she just got hit on by so many dudes. And it was like, they were just not, it felt a little bit scary. Like they weren't all polite and kind and, a lot of like, show us your tits type stuff, in the city in like a crazy area. Yeah, I think a lot of people like it's hard to tell maybe if they want to have sex with you or if they want to actually be your friend. I mean, men, obviously you can have sex with someone and want to be their friend, but like, oh man, you can tell there's all like men have sexual desires, that's fine, but like some guys, it's very clear that they keep their sexuality contained in a good way. Like they're not putting it on you in a way where they're not trying to like slip in like in a sleazy way. Whereas a lot of guys, especially the more beta males, like they act like they want to be your friend and they drive you places and they're just waiting for an in. Whereas like really stand-up guys, you can feel the raw sexuality, but they're not trying to like get into your pants, There's a difference there. Some of the women who say men need to stop approaching them are also the same women who are too nervous to approach. Yeah, you can't listen to women all the time, like on the internet. If a woman individually says, get away from me, obviously you listen to her, but like you can't let your life be dictated by women on the internet. It's a terrible idea. It's the worst idea you could possibly have. Like some women don't like to be approached. All right, well, that sucks. Like, don't do anything that's going to get the police called on you. Obviously, I can't stress this enough. Like, be polite and kind and have listen to boundaries, but like you can approach women on the street. It's fine. And you don't need to say like nice tits. You can say, hey, I love that outfit. Like, it helps if there's a third object in place. That's always the best part. So if she's walking a dog, pet the dog and then make conversation because of that. Or like, she has a cup of coffee, say, oh, I'm looking for a coffee shop. How's that coffee? Or like, whatever, like make something up, talk about something. Yeah, cold approaching is hard. I don't know how to do that. And if you're like, you got to be the kind of guy who like, if you want to do stuff like that, you got to be the kind of guy who like talks to everyone all the time and is really friendly. You talk to the guy in the elevator, then you talk to the girl in the elevator, and that's just like what happens. It's like a level up in skill. You'll be happier in life if you do that anyway. This is fun. I'm just talking about dating, just like giving advice. It's really fun. I feel like a huge part of it is how much women will get ostracized for being successful or standing out. I guess so. I don't feel this a lot. So you might be right. And maybe I'm just less, maybe I just don't feel this very much. But I also have very good friends. So I feel like if I do something, my friends will support me in general. Unless I'm doing something really dumb, which I really shouldn't be. But there is a crabs in the bucket phenomenon. They pull each other back into the bucket when they get out. And some, like, especially like toxic women are kind of of that caliber. Like there's a big difference between attracting a really, a good quality spiritual woman and a toxic woman. And like a lot of guys think attracting women is all one thing, but it's not. You really want to attract the right women. Ideally, a man and women can pick up on each other's vibes so that by the time the man asks her out, there has already been plenty of communication. Absolutely. This is exactly what it is. Exactly. He hit the nail on the head, right? Like a woman doesn't hit on a guy. She just like looks at him in a certain way. Like she looks at him for a longer time, or like kind of puts herself in front of him or smiles at him or something like, and then it's up to him to see that and then to approach, and she'll laugh at his jokes a little bit more, or like touch him on the arm or something. Like there's a lot of signals that she's sending to him that make it clear she's just not putting on the pants and going and asking him out. My theory is that people have to relocate so much for school and work that they don't have local communities where they already have someone equated with local women. Yeah, true, but like you can just fix that. You can just meet people. I mean, I just don't like the like, okay, that's a reason, but like, what's your solution to that reason? Because I really don't, I'm sorry. I get annoyed when like people present problems just by themselves. Like, present me a solution now. Okay, the problem is correct. Where's your solution? Like, the solution is obviously like, go meet people. I really think, Joe, you could like, I think if you spent some time with hippies doing hippie shit, I think you'd get a lot out of it. Like, you'd meet tons of women, and tons of women like, yeah, hippies, some of them, they could use a nice stable guy like you, and you could use a little bit more color in your life, I think, Joe. Yeah, I agree, Mr. Accord. Relocation at the critical moment has been an absolute disaster. What critical moment? I guess when you're dating? Or in college, I guess, too. Yeah, college is kind of a disaster for everyone. I think most people shouldn't go to college. The PUA advice is about getting a one-night stand, and the same tactics are not effective for finding long-term monogamous relationships. However, most of the PUA talking points are based on hidden truths. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, one-night stands with crazy women too, with women who are like easily manipulated and kind of stupid. I think you're not finding brainiacs out there when you're doing pickup artist stuff. But the pickup, they do say some important things like, and you know what, for a guy who is just in his room all the time and he's playing video games, I think a pickup artist is better than that. Like, go be a pickup artist. go have an adventure. I'm not saying, I don't really believe in like, going and having sex with everyone and just, I don't think it's a worthy lifestyle, but I think it's better than just being in your room doing nothing as well. I don't know, try not to hurt people, but the pickup artists have a lot of useful things. Like, their confidence with getting rejected is amazing. That is what most men need more of. Just going out into the world and getting rejected. Like, it's important to be able to be told no and maybe even be laughed at or whatever. And just like, you're not dead. You're fine. You just roll with the punches. You just try again. Because and pickup artists know that if they try 50 times, they get a few matches, maybe one. And what's their close rate? Like, what, yeah. Problem with hippie and other liberal types, they're so sensitive to things, unless you're talking about truer hippies that go with the flow and everything. Yeah, you just find the good ones, man. But I think the hippies, I think your problem, Joe, is not your problem. You're a great guy. You're a great guy, Joe. But I think one of the issues is like, I just know you. I'm like friends with you, right? So I think you need to be more embodied. It's not just about meeting hippie chicks. It's actually about like fixing your vibe. Your vibe, like something's a little stuck with your chakras or something. I don't really believe in chakras, but like it's a good metaphor. So I think if you go meet the hippies, you'll like figure something out. And the thing about vibes is that you don't know they're real until you notice them. So you got to do that. But like, go dance or something, even if it's not hippies, go dancing, go do something physical, like, and not just like building, like go do something, like dance. I don't know, have fun and like meet crazy people. I think if you meet more hippies, you'll like understand something that'll, I think there's a piece of your puzzle awaiting you there. The quality thing is so true. I hope it doesn't get misconstrued as bragging thing, but I get more female attention than most of my male friends, and they act like I'm crazy for turning anyone down. Yeah, dude, absolutely. you should be turning people down. You probably should be. Um, but but now with Tinder, I can be rejected while staying in my room. Yeah, feel how it feels to get rejected. Like, feel your body. What does it feel like to get rejected? Are you scared of being rejected in the future? Like, yeah, do you have a fear of like how does it feel? You know, if you feel how it feels to be rejected, you might notice that it's actually okay eventually. If you sit with your feelings, like, oh, I feel sad. I feel like I'm remembering that time my mother called me a piece of shit, whatever it is. My mother didn't. She's an angel. But yeah, just sit with whatever comes up when you get rejected. The quality thing, yeah. I wonder, like, I would even be surprised, like, I wouldn't even be surprised if you weren't as, I mean, you might be totally physically attractive, but I wouldn't be surprised if you even weren't as, if you were like the same level of physical attractiveness as your friends and you just had better vibes, because that's a huge thing. Or like you just were more charismatic or something. I've gotten to the point where I can go on dates with women and get attention easily enough. And a way harder part is finding someone who is actually a good match. Yeah, totally. And it's kind of like a women's problem. No, it's not it's not a women's problem. You're not a woman. It's just like the problem that most women have when dating is like, yeah, lots of people that can date me, but like, where's the match? What are you looking for in a match? I'm wondering. You want kids? Are you like, yeah, what do you want in a partner? Do you want her to work? What's one sec. I tend to run away as soon as a girl shows interest. Found the problem. That's like avoidant attachment disorder, dude. Yeah, avoidant attachment disorder. You might find some interesting stuff if you haven't already in there. Yeah, you got to find a stable attachment style girl, and then fix some childhood trauma. Probably, maybe your parents weren't around when you were a young kid as much as they should have been, or like emotionally there, or something like that. What's the justification? I'm not avoidant. I'm a little anxious attached, if anything. What's the justification for running away as soon as the girl shows interest? What happens in your mind? Are you like, she's going to control my life? She's, she said she likes me and that means she's going to try to manipulate me? Like, what's going on there? What happens? It's because I had a previous relationship that I was really happy about and then it ended badly. And like, so does that mean that now you're like, this one is also going to end badly? Is that the problem? Or like, I'm happy about this and therefore it means that something's wrong? Let's a little bit deeper. I'm definitely avoiding attachment. Yeah. That's a hard one because at least with anxious, I'm like, I'm just gonna be closer to the person, Yeah, so you think your brain is worried about it happening again? Yeah. Yeah, trying to protect you. It is trying to protect you. That's the thing. In IFS and internal family systems, they talk about like talking to that part of you that wants to protect you and be like, hey, thanks for trying to protect me. Like all your parts, you kind of be nice to them because they're all trying to do something for you. It's just not doing it quite in the most evolved way. And one thing is like, if it's trying to protect you still, I wonder if you've kind of fully processed the relationship. Like, did you kind of sit with the emotions of an ending and how it felt, and have you like fully processed the sadness and or did you kind of like cover it up and keep going with life? And so there is a time to cover up. Like you shouldn't be sitting there crying all the time, but like once you get the time, it's good to sit and process things. But yeah, I mean the good news is that's a very fixable problem. You've identified a problem and now you can fix it, which is good. You're a lot further than most people are. It's sort of my way of setting boundaries because once I'm in a relationship, I suck at it. Oh, why do you suck at relationships? And I guess that's why you're rejecting girls too. Hey, gamebot color. Maybe you are rejecting. I mean, you should be rejecting some, but I wonder if you're rejecting good ones too. Funny what you said about being embodied. Sorry, my one brief relationship was so irregular that when I reflect on it, it didn't feel real. I felt disembodied from what actually happened. Yeah. You probably weren't embodied. Like, from what actually happened. But it's good that it happened. It's good to have a relationship and to learn things about yourself and about other people. Elliot, my husband, was poly for a long time. Actually, I think I was his first non-poly girlfriend, and he said that he just learned to communicate really, really well because he was poly. So he just had all these different relationships and like just went through all the different problems in relationships. Like, you know, he might have had 20 or something in the space of a few years. Like, I don't know about a few years, 7 years, I don't know. But relationships do give you, I think there's pros and cons. There's definite cons too. I wouldn't recommend polyamory for everyone, but obviously, like anything, it has its pros and cons. That's so real. It's really hard for me to tell someone is actually a bad match or if just pushing them away because of my anxieties. Yeah. I wonder what your anxieties are around. Like, yeah. Do you have an idea of what your anxieties are? My memories feel like a short story in which I was used as the main character. Yeah, dude. Gotta dance. Gotta go do something, camp or something, you know? Go be in your body, Joe. I can't say it enough. I'm gonna maybe I don't know. I'll ask you about it later. Yeah, it feels like a kind of disassociation, Joe. Like a little bit of disassociation. Like people are, I think the idea of dissociation, I think people think of it as like really hardcore, like a PTSD flashback or something. But I think a lot of people are dissociated a lot. Like I think being on your phone is an easy way to be dissociated, or like playing video games. Like I pay attention to my emotions a lot, but when I play video games, I pay no attention to my emotions at all. So I notice like I'll be kind of stressed out going into something, and then I'll play a video game, and I just like blank for like 3 hours or whatever, how long I played it. And it's not as if I don't have emotions. I'm just actively not noticing them. I think Twitter, like Instagram, TikTok, it's all the same thing. It does the same thing pretty much. The embarrassing thing is that my relationship ended almost 10 years ago, and although I've had lots of girls interested in me since then, I've never just got over it. Yeah, you try to process it, and you don't think you've gotten to the bottom of it. I wouldn't be embarrassed about that. You're a guy who feels your emotions deeply, and any woman, I think, would be lucky to have that. It seems like you're a loving dude. But yeah, I mean, look, the way I think of it is like we all have issues to sort out, right? And whatever the top layer issue is, like the most important issue, like we all have different issues to set out, but like, you know, if you're like addicted to a drug, right? That's probably the most important issue in your life to sort out. And once you sort that out, your life gets so much better. And then the next one, you know, to sort out is whatever. I'm a narcissist. Like then I don't know, narcissism is a hard one, but like I'm a kleptomaniac, you know, and then you sort that one out, and then suddenly you're not getting arrested all the time. Like your life gets way better. Like every time you sort the biggest problem out, your life fucking improves so much. And it just sounds like you know which one you need to sort out. Like there's something around processing your emotions with this girl. Whether you need to go to a therapist or see some men, like a men's group, or like talk to some friends about it, or just journal or whatever it is, like you've got a pretty clear path set out for you. So it's good. It's really good. You're intuitive enough, and you're introspective enough to understand yourself, which is any girl, like a lot of girls, they would be so lucky to have that. Memories of me playing video games feels like less of a fiction, for example. One is on a screen and the other one is actually I touched a girl. Oh yeah, it's true. Interesting to notice about oneself. Yeah, interesting that you playing video games is actually less of a fiction than touching a girl. Like, I wonder what was going on in your body when you were touching that girl. It sounds like you were probably pretty dissociated. Like you weren't really in your body. Like, I wonder if you have. I suspect you have something going on with your physical life, Joe, where like, or like interpersonal contact. It's probably a mommy issue thing, I would guess. My intuition is actually saying no, not quite, but something in the family, I think, like where loving contact is not is not acceptable for you, or it's scary, or you kind of can't be fully present with physical contact. And so you kind of just dissociate a little bit. Yeah, my last relationship crossed some boundaries and generally made me uncomfortable, so I relate to the dissociative memory. Yeah, dude, I had this friend who's a vet. He's super smart. Obviously he's a veterinarian, like smart guy, really nice guy, and he would just date these girls who would walk all over him. I don't know how it happened so much. Yeah, like I already said he was a vet, so I don't really want to go into it, but like he would just date girls who would like really push his boundaries, like pretty girls, and he would always go for really pretty girls. I don't blame him, but like they would always just had a hold of him. Like they would get him to do things and they would push his boundaries to like, and he was a big guy, like pretty good looking. And like, I think he had a lot of his shit together. Like he probably had boundaries in other parts of life, but it just in terms of girls, they would just like go behind his back and do shit that was not acceptable and then justify it with all these, by making him feel bad about himself in just ways that just made no sense. Yeah. Yeah, crossing boundaries is hard. And like we all cross boundaries sometimes. It's just a matter of understanding, putting boundaries down, and then actually like you gotta put boundaries down and then you actually have to follow through. So if you say like, if you do that again, I'm gonna leave, you actually have to leave when they do it again. And they will sometimes. It might just, I'm not gonna give you any money because if you spend this on I'm gonna give you $100, but if you spend it on Starbucks, I'm not going to give you any money this week because we need to spend money conservatively. And then if she spends money on Starbucks, like your money on Starbucks, not her money, but yeah, can't give her money, like whatever it is. Yeah, being walked all over. Yeah, okay. So like it does sound like game bot color. Like it sounds like you were avoidant for a reason. Like it sounds like being avoidant is actually a good strategy for you because you keep getting walked all over, like our unconsciouses are pretty smart, actually. We're doing the best for ourselves. Like I think you don't trust yourself enough to put boundaries down. And like maybe you shouldn't trust yourself right now. But part of the process is just like, it's step by step. It's just learning like how to grow as a person little by little, and then just flourish, and then you'll trust yourself eventually. Or maybe you won't trust yourself, and then sometimes you have to like, once you intellectually trust yourself but you're still being avoidant, sometimes you got to like just push through the avoidance a little bit because it's still there as like an old system, and maybe you need to push through it a little bit, and then you kind of like build up trust with yourself then, but little by little. Yeah. I think that's why having male friends is good, because if she does something, you can like talk to your male friends about it and kind of see like, kind of have someone to like outsource to, or female friends are good too. Like as long as, you have boundaries and stuff with them. Yeah, we're not a huggy family at all. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, a huggy family like I'm not sure how much like if that influenced it, but yeah, probably did. Sounds like it did. I still hope to get married and start a family, but these days I've learned to be content in singleness. Yeah, yeah. As it depends what you mean by content. I think content is a word that can mean a lot of things. Like, I think people become content in depression, and I think I obviously would not recommend that to anyone. I think with depression, for example, I would say don't become content in depression. Fight your way out of it. Do everything you can to not be depressed. But content in singleness can be like, I'm happy in myself. I'm working on myself, and I don't want, I want to be in a relationship, but I'm also happy in myself, and that can be great, So it just depends. Like, I just wouldn't want you to be afraid of being in a relationship and then telling yourself you're content and kind of not going out into the world because of that, I would say. Yeah, being content, being resigned. Yeah, that's it. And I think a lot. I'm not saying that's you. It might not be you, but like a lot of people I think tell themselves they're content when they actually just avoid their emotions by video games and Netflix and junk food and kind of not living life fully. Fight with fist raised and ear bloodied. Exactly. You got to fight in this life, and life will not come to you. The fabric of reality will not bend to you unless you make it bend. Things won't meet you halfway all the time. You have to scrape and scratch your way to victory. And that is what makes you admirable, and that is what women admire the most. I put it this way: I've got loads and loads of successful stuff going on in my life. I still make quite a lot of effort to find a girl to share with my life with, but I don't feel resentful. Nice, dude. Exactly. That's cool. That sounds amazing. Do you feel good about yourself? You should feel good, like deeply. Do you feel good about yourself? Because I hope you do. I hope you feel really good about yourself. That sounds, yeah. It sounds like you're doing incredibly well. I might call it a day pretty soon. It's been 2.5 hours. This is so much fun. I have to live stream more. This has been really cool. Should I don't know. Do people save their streams? What do they do? Do they I guess I'll just save my stream and like put it up later. I don't know. I'm not sure if it'll be good for the algorithm, but who cares really? Yeah, I got to do more live streams. Thank you guys for being my very first audience. Yeah, Mr. Record, he does great stock tips. He's Joe is like a real level-headed like Warren Buffett style investor. Warren Buffett said that if he had less money, he could double it every year. Because, and that's specifically because if you have as much money as Warren Buffett does, as soon as you put something in the market, like $1 billion into the market or 5 billion, it just like makes it go crazy high. So you can't really invest in small stocks. But if you are investing in if you have a small amount of money, you can invest in smaller stocks and you can do well. I'm not saying Joe's going to double your money or anything like that, but he's, I know a little bit about stock investing, and he just makes all the right moves for long-term success. I'm not getting a financial cut, obviously. I think he's a cool guy. I think he's a level-headed guy. Crazy amount of engagement for the number of viewers. Oh yeah. Huh. I don't know. I've never done a stream before, but I just love talking to people. I just love talking to you guys. You guys have such good questions. It's just, you've been such a nice, such a cool group of people. Thank you so much. I feel so much love for you guys right now. Yeah, man. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hey, I'll talk to you guys later. Feel free to hit me up in the comments or anything like that. All right. Bye-bye. That's all right. I don't know. I think I have boundaries enough to not be a therapist. I appreciate them a lot. I'm not a therapist. I'm just some, nobody streams better. I'm the best. I will take that. I'll take that advice though. If I'm enjoying myself, but if I stop enjoying it, I think I'll have to remember to put boundaries down. Thank you for saying that, Gamebot. All right, talk to you later.